Alright. Go check that. Make sure sound is good. Hopefully everybody can hear anything. Let me know.
Yeah, chat. We're gonna have to sound balance right live on stream, so you're gonna help us.
Hey, do it in production, they say, right?
Yeah, well, it's the only thing with the self-free streaming.
Yeah. Boston, can you go ahead and say something so we can definitely hear you? And same with Oscar. So I can each raise you up individually.
Certainly can. Hope everybody's doing well. Hi, Tybalt. Thanks for having me. Hi, Oscar. You can talk now.
I was here for support and then was gonna go get a sleep.
Yeah, Asuka's not staying here, and actually, I'm gonna do a thing. I'm gonna move you folks up into the live channel, and me and Asuka are gonna stay out of it. Good luck, have fun. You're all awesome.
And chat gave lots of good vibes.
Don't forget to share your screen for your lovely hosts once we're up here.
Okay. I think that's what they wanted to be. Alright. Just double check and make sure everybody has the sound good for everybody there in chat. Just want to make sure before I get this whole run started.
Looks like Draven said I might be a little quiet, so I don't know if that's just me not speaking loud enough or if there's a sound balance
I can definitely raise you.
on, so...
I just raised you a bit there. Should be better now.
Cool.
Alright. Well, the question I do have is, we did have some naming incentives here for Mystic Quest. I need to know what I am naming the character today for this run. This is going to be Final Fantasy Mystic Quest 100% category, which means we have to go to get every single item in its vanilla location, even though we manipulate a few in.
Okay, the winning name is... It was Magus.
Alright, can you spell that for me real quick, please?
M-A-G-U-S.
Alrighty. Do we have any other? I know there was some possible donation bid wars for screen color and scaling. I don't know if we're going to be having that for the HP scaling at all, but something I can definitely call out later.
I don't see any here, so I mean.
Okay, just double checking, because that's an ongoing thing between some of the runners. Some people like the scale, some people like the HP. So, all right. Well, I am good to go. Possum, you good to go?
I was born ready, my friend. Let's do this. I'm excited to see you kick this game's butt.
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and start this in 3, 2, 1, go. And we come to everybody's favorite part of this game, the first battle.
Oh, I thought I was talking to the floating old man.
That too. Well, Possum, what's so interesting about this first battle here?
You gonna die. No, so one of the things that can happen is this is supposed to be the intro boss. It's like, oh, hey, you just like hold the button to attack it a couple times. Well, fun fact, you can miss and you can get crit. And yeah, so it's not the best scenario when it goes sideways. And oh, sideways it can go. So let's see if Tybalt has good fortune on his side this evening.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, going so far, so good.
Yeah, so this is basically, well, So fun fact there, that crit is actually a waste of time at the end because it is an extra frame or two for the text box popping up. But that's basically a 4x4 where you get 4 hits in on the behemoth, it gets 4 hits on you, but that means you win the fight. No crits from the behemoth is a good thing. It means that Tybalt's going to be able to get through the next little section a little bit quicker, in theory, without dying to any of these enemies after jumping over an old man for good luck.
Yeah, so we're doing some going around, and I know there's some interesting names with the towns we'll be going to around here that we kind of notice a theme of how they decided to name it. Right now we're in Forstia. And we'll be picking up the Cure spell, which is going to be quite useful early on for us here.
Oh, old man jump for good luck.
There I just changed the text box speed to the fastest possible. There are ways to make it faster, and that is by hitting any of the directional pad or face buttons after battle, so you'll be seeing those go either slow or fast depending on how fast I'm pressing buttons.
And Tybalt's pretty fast at pressing the buttons, so you're not going to see too much of that.
Well, we hope.
But we have the first companion joining us. There will be many companions throughout this game that join Benjamin or Magus in this case, and those companions are always going to be stronger, and considerably stronger than your primary party member. Those characters are going to typically have better weapons, better spells. Basically, your main character is kind of a potato, and he's getting dragged along through the majority of the game. That changes a little bit once he gets some of his really good spells, but the vast majority, it's kind of like let your friends kill things, and you're just along for the ride.
Yeah, Keely here at the beginning is not here for us for very too long. I was going to take a little bit extra. I mismenued so she wasn't able to attack the fully health one, because Ben, unless he crits, he won't actually take anything out.
And then there's the second boss of the game. This is going to be a recurring theme, what Tybalt is going to do in this fight. Any character that has access to the life spell can be used offensively. And as long as it hits the enemy, well, away it goes. The life spell, incredible when used offensively. However, all white magic, and this includes cure and life and everything else, while able to be used offensively, also uses the physical accuracy stat of the character it's tied to. Meaning, it can miss. And when it misses, fun things can happen, because usually that throws your battle all out of whack. And sometimes you can perish because of it.
Yeah, the biggest thing to know with like the life spell is if you're blinded, it'll come way later on. If I'm blinded, I'll actually be using a different spell to make sure my partner actually hits with their magic. And here's our second person.
Yeah. Tristram is a character that exists. He is 4 levels higher than Kaylee, but he has ninja stars, basically. He is notorious for not being able to hit the broadside of a barn. He's kind of the stormtrooper of Mystic Quest. It's pretty rough. Tristram does not have a lot of utility, either at the start or at the end of the game or at any time in between. He is the roughest of companions by far.
Yeah, we hope for him to crit, but he tends to miss quite often, and that kind of hurts us.
So we're going to see Tybalt going through a lot of different dungeons in this game. Also, case in point on Tristan missing. There was a miss right off the bat. Basically, all these dungeons you're going to see Tybalt going through and trying to find stacks of enemies that are 1s or 2s for the most part. If he runs into 3 stacks, he's going to be doing a lot of running away, especially early on. There is something that he will be doing shortly, and this is going to be an item duplication that he's going to do, but he can't do it yet. So basically what we're going to do is see him try to get these good encounters like this 1 stack here and just get minimal XP, make the fights as quick as possible, and carry on, because it is a speed run after all.
And we do want some double encounters here in early game, because we want to hit at least level 4 before we get to the boss of this area, because level 3 is a bit dicey.
Yeah, level 3 Flamerous Rex is a rite of passage for a Mystic Quest runner, but we don't necessarily need to go through that rite during a marathon. And so Tristram's miscount, I believe, is already up to 3. It might be 4. It's pretty rough so far. He's also got a couple crits, though, so trying to balance it out, but the misses hurt more than the crits help.
Yeah, he's missed twice and critted twice. It's like after he misses, he crits. It's like, see, I'm making up for it. It's like, no, you're not. Crit on the boss. That's what I want you to do.
And there are a couple of things just to kind of go over little bits of like HUD stuff or user interface stuff here. So you'll see that on the screen, there's going to be on the kind of upper right area where Tristan's name is, there's an auto and a manual there. And Tybalt's going to be switching back and forth between auto and manual depending on the fights and what he needs Tristram or any other AI to do. It's kind of learning, very, very basic, like machine learning, if you will. The AI still doesn't always do what you'd expect it to do or what you'd want it to do, but it tries. And so Tybalt is generally going to keep Tristram on auto because he's just going to attack. But a lot of other characters, like your Kayleys, your Phoebes of the world, who will come later, they need to kind of be managed, where their auto attack may be the wrong thing. So you may have to manually do their correct spell for the situation. And Tybalt's going to, I believe, do a dupe here. So Tybalt, do you want to explain the dupe that you're doing there on the seed?
Yes. So what I'm doing with the dupe is I'm selecting the seed, and then I'm using it with Ben or Magus, going to Tristram's turn, and then I'm actually running away from battle. What I seem to believe is that the game believes you're actually using the item, so it's giving you a replacement for what you used, even though you didn't actually use it. So it's a way to get extra seeds early on before you can actually buy them, because we buy them in Firebird, which takes us a little bit to get to. It's the third area you get your seeds. And seeds are actually pretty important because that is this game's version of an ether, so you're MP restorative in this game. And I didn't do it correctly. I would have had 4 there.
So, that being said, anytime Tybalt now runs across a 3 stack of random enemies, he's going to try to duplicate one of those seeds so he can basically get more ethers. But before he does any of that, he's going to run into his first boss here, which is Flamerous Rex, the first real boss, if you will. This boss is actually quite difficult. It has a number of different attacks that deal a ton of damage. Magus here is very susceptible to falling over, generally will happen in 2 hits, as it just did there. The earthquake that he's doing, Rip Earth, is very devastating, much worse than any other attack he can do, and, well, we've seen multiple of them already, which is not great. Cure is being used offensively here because it is Magus's strongest move against the boss, and Tristram, well, he can't do anything except attack, or use a life spell, which Tybalt's going to be using a couple of those life spells to make sure people don't die. So this is going to get a little awkward because Tristram's the only one left now. And he's going to need to get Magus back up as well to deal some more offensive damage. But as you can see, the low levels here are really punishing. The boss just deals a ton of damage compared to what the main character's health pool is. And spamming Rip Earth is really, really not great.
Yeah, no.
So when this boss gets down to the stage where it's laying down, it's got about 500 health left, so it's probably somewhere in the 350 range right now, which should be 1 cure if Tybalt has any left, and then maybe 1 more hit from Tristram and he'll get through, but there's another Rip Earth, I think that's 4 or 5, really rough fight.
Yeah, I got unlucky with that Rip Earth, and I had to take time to actually heal.
Oh my goodness.
It's not good.
Well, this is YOLO o'clock. Tybalt's gonna basically hold A and see if he can win the game. It has to kill on this hit, or he's probably dead. Well,
Nope. That's
nope.
a wipe.
So, yeah, welcome to Mystic Quest. Fun, not completely deterministic, no RNG whatsoever. It's a completely wonderful game that is just excellent in every way. Tristram starting out by critting this fight.
Twice, mind you.
Twice, so there you go. But yeah, the best part about this game, instant retries, as Chad was pointing out. You basically just say, oh, give up, yes or no. Just hit no, you don't want to give up, you want to fight again.
Yeah, so you mentioned about the RNG, and this doesn't have the normal RNG that most Final Fantasy games have, where it's seed-based. Can you explain a bit more on that?
Yeah, so the RNG on this game, as far as like crits and as far as procs on like claws that might have death attached to them, or paralysis or poison, or even the encounters you get as Tristram crits again. So you saw that fight, by the way, go through in like 90 seconds, and the other one took like 3 minutes to wipe. But the way that everything is determined is on a frame-by-frame basis. There are generally 34 frame cycles for almost everything in this game, and you just kind of have to hope to get lucky in your 34 frame cycles within the 256 frame window. The TLDR on it is, it's really heckin' hard to manipulate anything in this game. There's very few things you can actually do other than kind of just pray to the RNG gods. I kind of feel like, personally, this was some random developer's magnum opus as far as like, I am going to make sure that no one breaks my RNG in this game.
Because there's a lot that's done with the frames, and we'll get a little bit into that later on a particular boss all runners love. But as I'm going to come out here, I'm going to hit one of my first battle tiles. When I get to my battle tile here, I'm basically hoping for everything but one fight. I don't want to see any basilisks in the battle tile we'd be doing. And that battle tile is actually a great time for the donations if they come in. As I'm leaving the Bone Zone, I'm going to stop and pick up one other item. We saw we pick up Quake. And in any percent run, that gets completely avoided because you never really use Quake. I think even I only use it 3 times. And that's all the magic I have for black magic.
Yeah, because in this run, I believe you use Quake if needed on the basilisks, and otherwise you don't even use it in 100%. Whereas in any percent, you don't pick it up because you never stop on the battle tiles to begin with.
There's options not to actually use it on the battle tile. You just do bombs and swap over to your sword or axe to finish out the fight, and you save your Quakes for the Wintry Cave fights with the worms.
But either way, Quake is something you have to pick up for the 100% run. While it might not get used a lot, it's still mandatory, and so that's why Tybalt went and picked it up. Now he gets to do one of my favorite little tricks in the game, which is jumping back through the quicksand that is trying to drag you away. Really nicely done there to just get out of dodge, if you will. And this is the first battlefield, going to be 10 encounters here. So this is a great time for donations or any reminders or anything else that we might have from our wonderful host this evening.
Okay, well, we did receive an anonymous donation of $20 with no comment, but I would like to remind everyone that this is Speedrun Ragnarok, and we are raising money for Take This. Take This is a mental health non-profit, and their main mission is to inform the gaming community about mental health issues, provide education on different disorders and prevention techniques, and reduce the overall stigma around mental illness. Take This has traveled to different conventions such as PAX, MagFest, and TwitchCon to reach out to the gaming community about mental health issues via informative panels. If you would like more information, please visit takethis.org. And I would like to remind everyone that we still have a few bid wars open for the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise rando. You can bid on the Z-Sprite, And you can also bid on the harp song. And for Final Fantasy, I guess that's Legend 2, there's a bid war between good taste versus bad taste. So I'll send it back to you for now.
So I'm just about to finish up this battle tile here. After this battle tile, I'll do something for marathon safety that's going to be coming about an hour or so into the run. We're going to get into some real fun shenanigans. And Magus is going to be really hungry. We'll get more into that later. But now, I got the elixir from Tristram as he tried to sell it to us earlier. Since we got him the Dragon Claw there, he's like, sure, I'll give you this elixir for free. We're going to give it to Kaylee here to cure her sand fever. And then we're going to leave, and we're going to go to the Focus Tower. Focus Tower is something we travel through quite often. It's kind of the main hub of this game. We get the Sun Coin out of the Bone Dungeon, and that'll open up the next door to the next area and our next character.
Yeah, and the Focus Tower, one of the interesting things about it, there's about 4 different entrances and exits. And so you have to manage where you are entering and exiting from, and Tybalt will be doing some, I think some manipulation in this run, where you control where you're exiting and entering from. So it's one of those things where you see right now it's a fairly linear path, everything is blocked off, but it won't stay that way forever. Now, he's also going to get a character here, one that is pretty universally loved. Phoebe is a phenomenal character. A lot of folks call her Phoebe, but she is an overwhelming fan favorite. And as you can see also, we're picking her up at level 15. So the game is intending for Magus to be much higher level than the level 5 he currently is.
Yeah, so here's our second battle tile. We'll be doing the 10 fights in here, and I'm going to be getting the magic ring, which will increase our magic and give us a little extra speed for the upcoming Wintry Cave.
Yeah, and that extra speed is especially nice in the in the 100% run, because it lets you outspeed specifically the centaurs that will cast a riddle on the party. In any percent, obviously this being 100%, you're going to have more levels and you're doing more in the game, but in any percent, those centaurs are brutal. So it's very nice in the 100% run to have that extra level of security, extra layer of security, if you will, to keep your party members safe.
As you tell in certain fights, I'm using manual inherently because if there is not all the same monster on the battlefield, she'll only target one with fire instead of both. As we see the best example here, if we got 2 scorpions, well, she's going to cast flame. But if there's the toad out there, she'll only target one. So I have to manage exactly my partner here and what I want her to do.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the manual versus auto discussion that we had before, that it's actually something that is quite difficult to learn at first and to toggle through effectively. So Tybalt doing a great job of toggling through that so far and not having to worry about casting the wrong spells or anything like that. So keep that up, because really well executed so far.
And we got our magic ring there, so we're going to be leaving here. Let's see if we got 1 fire cast left, and I've got 4 lightnings. Whew.
Yeah, this is also a type of situation Tybalt is tracking how much magic he has left. So every 4 levels that a character has, they get an extra cast of each of their white, black, and wizard magic. And so Phoebe, being a higher level, has more initial casts, but only having 1 fire cast left is a little bit rough. And Tybalt may decide at some point that he just wants to dupe some seeds, since now he's out of fire casts altogether. And he still does need to dupe a couple of those seeds to get him to Fireberg, where we can get all of the seeds that we need for the rest of the game. So, like, this is an encounter where he may go ahead, and he is right now, duping some of those. The hedgehogs, they just die to fire. So do the double hedgehog scorpion. But Tybalt's still opting just to dupe some of those seeds and get it out of the way now, so he doesn't have to worry about it later.
Yeah. Since I don't actually have any Firecast with Phoebe, I'm just kind of hoping to get through all the seeds I need to dupe here. And it's go to the item, use it, and then you run from battle. It gives you the extra seed. And I dupe a few extras just for safety purposes. I have to use one here. Actually, I have to use two because Ben's out of magic completely. Using the 3 on the early battle tiles, so. Alright, here we go. And we can be on our way again.
Yeah, and so basically Tybalt just took himself from having 2 ethers to having 8, where he's now able to just fill his magic up as needed. Basically won't have to stop again to do that. It's realistically nicest, not for this area, not for the Wintry Cave, but for the Ice Pyramid, which will be coming up in a little bit, where he can just use extra lightning spells if he needs to, as well as the Falls Basin and some other places. Just gives him the liberty to be a little bit safer and to be able to one-shot enemy packs, which will be very helpful. Also, Phoebe, a character who loves to give you things after they would be helpful. Magus there fell off a cliff, and Phoebe was like, "Oh hey, I could have given you this cat claw, but I wanted to see you fall down first." I don't know if it's some sort of trial for Magus or what's going on, but that's just Phoebe's way of doing business.
The menu in this game can be tricky. Ooh, poison, not good.
Missing, also not good.
Not what I meant to do, but I'll take it. Because now I can't keep Phoebe on auto due to how the auto works. If you have any status ailment on you, or you or your partner are below 50% health, they will prioritize healing and curing you over anything else.
Now, this can be very beneficial in the way that the game's mechanics work, especially later on, where, let's say, Phoebe is set to auto, Magus dies, but has a spell queued up. If Phoebe lifes Magus after the boss hits him, he'll come back and still get to take his turn for that cycle, and then still be able to get his spell off. So it can be beneficial, actually, to have the secondary character on auto, even if it might be slightly suboptimal on damage output. It can give you that safety net of having your main character be rezzed and still get their spell off for that turn. And these are the awful centaurs where we want to be fast enough, but here come the riddles. Doesn't look like Magus got his bombs off in time, even with those extra levels. And everybody is confused. This is just an awful fight when they get to riddle everybody, or, crit Magus as well. But the bomb does finally go off, and Tybalt is through that fight. Those centaurs are awful. Damage is usually not a concern in this game except in boss fights, but status attacks and status ailments are always a big concern. And Tybalt, what's your favorite or least favorite status? Confusion, stone, or petrify, poison?
Probably confusion. Just the fact that with confusion, like, you lose your turn essentially is what it is, and that could be, you can kind of you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to get through this fight, and all of a sudden you're confused. You're like, that just wasted everything. The nice thing about this game with some of the status elements like Petrify or Paralyze or Confusion, they don't persist through battle. Blind does, which I think is kind of interesting. It's the one that actually does persist through battle.
Yeah, the other thing that's kind of nice in the way that it works is also if your main character or your secondary character, if either of them dies in battle, when the next fight starts, they'll still be at 1 HP. So, like, Magus is going to die here. If Tybalt had opted to use a spell instead of a life, he would have been able to just have Magus picked up at 1 HP for the next fight. Now, that is one... So that was an interesting combat there insofar as Magus outsped Phoebe at the end there. Phoebe's agility stat, or her speed stat, is her weak spot. It's the only thing she is not particularly great at, is being fast. She's generally faster than your main character, but she does lag a little bit behind in speed. She's kind of a very heavy offensive magic user that's slow. So a good comparison for her, for those who are familiar with Final Fantasy IV, especially the Free Enterprise randomizer or other randomizers, she's basically like Palom in a sense, where she will hit super hard with magic, but she is also quite slow compared to what you might expect for her level.
You also notice we get a lot of first strikes in this, which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah, first strike always great because, well, you get to just take your action and not worry about getting riddled or hit with quakes or any number of other conditions or awful ailments. So it's a good time to get those strike firsts. And there's another one. This is a great fight to get it on because the centaurs will just get taken out with a bomb and a thunder, and then we're gonna get to fight Squidward. Everybody loves fighting Squidward.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some, because there's a glitch here that's kind of unavoidable once you have all your save files here filled up. We'll see if Squidward decides to help us out with showing that off here.
Yeah, what we're looking for is not a Phoebe
that one,
miss.
actually, right there.
The drain spell. So, yeah, Tybalt got to show off the resistance glitch there, which I know that he'd be more than happy to tell y'all all about.
Yeah, so this once you have all your save files loaded up with endgame Phoebe or any character, the game doesn't recognize any other armor. So right now our Phoebe has the endgame Phoebe armor on, so we're resistant to a few things. We even absorb a few things like Drain, which really helps out, and that's on all partner characters. So controller decided to mess with me there. So all of our characters are going to absorb Drain or be resistant to water. Also be resistant to, I believe, paralyzation and...
Yeah, but not petrification or confusion.
No, not those. But Drain is the big one, because that comes a lot in the later areas where they will end up using a lot of Drain on us. And if we can get fights to go a certain way, they'll try and drain our partner and take themselves out for us.
Yeah, and worth noting that there was kind of an interesting thing that happened in that fight with the squid. One was Magus fell over, and Tybalt opted not to bring him back up, and you see Magus now has 1 health, 1 hit point. And, you know, Tybalt can carry that through as long as he wants Magus have 1 hit point. Another thing that happened, though, is there were multiple Phoebe misses with the bow. Very unusual for that to happen. She is actually more likely to crit than she is to miss. So, pretty unfortunate there, RNG-wise, but, you know, it's not like a PB attempt or anything like that. It's a marathon run, so we're good. We can continue on.
And this is the only time we actually talk to the old man. We see him. We saw him in Focus Tower once before. We'll see him again. This is the only time we actually talk to him because we have to. Because we had to get the wake water, which we're under the impression right now that it's going to unfreeze all of this area. Spoiler, it doesn't. We try. It fails.
Yeah, real talk though, like, why didn't the old guy with his teleportation and floating ability just like go here and do this?
That's going too far into spoilers.
quest?
We'll find out why later. That's just more end game spoilers, you know. And we come to one of my bane of existence areas that I got stuck on as a young child for a little bit. The Basin Falls here. As I already messed up the puzzle. And that chest right there is the heal spell. We'll get that here in a bit, but if we don't grab it now and we beat the Ice Pyramid, it's lost to the ether forever.
Yeah, the heal spell actually is kind of important for a couple of fights later in the game. There are multiple fights where your partner character can get petrified. The heal spell is basically Asuna. It's going to remove all of the negative status effects that are on your partner characters. So it is actually quite important. It's even picked up in the any percent run. So it's a good one to have. And to just confirm something from chat, it is correct that each bar of health is 40 HP. 40 is a nice round number or something like that. And yeah, so just multiply by 40 for every level the main character has, and that is their maximum HP. So right now, Magus having 9 levels is 9 times 40 or 360 health. Math on stream, I know. There will be more. Sorry, not sorry. That's his HP total for right now.
And since it's about to go in the menu, actually, what I can do here is I can feed Phoebe a seed here, and let's just switch it over to figure, because everybody likes figures. As I remember the ongoing war, some people prefer the figures. I prefer the scale. That's what I've always played at. So looking at the HP totals here in numbers just feels wrong to me. And there's a little shortcut that we figured out in trying to optimize this area. What it wants you to do is to bring one of them over there and then bring the third one up here. Like, we just skipped some of that. We're just gonna know we're gonna do it our own way.
And another fantastic fight where a boss knows something you don't want it to cast, and that is confusion. So the big thing that Tybalt's going to try to avoid here is having Phoebe get riddled. Magus also is pretty susceptible to damage here. That is one of the primary concerns, again, is how much damage bosses will deal. But as long as he can avoid crits, he should be fine with 360 health. It's much sketchier when you come in here with like 280.
Most of the time, Phoebe can actually soul this herself with 5 Thundercasts. So, when we did use a seed before this, it's just a matter of whether or not Phoebe gets confused is where it gets real tricky.
Yeah. Oh,
or she gets
exact lethal. Fun and interactive gameplay. So that's a crit on Magus and a crit on Phoebe in that fight. And yeah, that's the no fun zone right there. So yeah, that's a wipe to the Flamers boss, and then a wipe to the crab. So off to a flying start here.
Well, at least it's not Doom Dance.
That's later.
Yeah, just wait. That's later in the run. Doom Dance is that's on one particular boss yeah. He's just not like Ben today.
Yeah, 2 more thunders though, and you're through. So, well,
Ah!
And then there's that. Well, Snow Crab 2, Tybalt 0.
No, I need to use the bombs here.
I cast or cursed you, and I'm not even mad about it.
No, this is fine. This is totally fine. This is. I chose this myself to. You know, I brought this upon myself.
Jokingly, we refer to this game as Poor Life Choices, the video game, because there's a thing in Mystic Quest where a lot of folks think, oh, in a game that's so heavily determined by RNG, aren't you hoping for good luck? No, you're not hoping for good luck. You're hoping to avoid bad luck, and there is a fundamental difference between the two.
Anybody who said that this game is too easy is wrong.
And see, we saw there that both our party members were under 50% HP, so Phoebe decided to cast all heal. Should be the final Thundercast here.
Yay!
Oh, and guess what? We got bigger bombs.
Yeah, those bigger bombs, they would have been super helpful in that fight. You know, Phoebe was just carrying them around. Again, like the claw, and she's like, nah, fam, we'll give them to you after.
So can we just showcase one thing that we get to be able to do in this game that I think kind of got lost in other games? The items we have, you know, the claw, the sword, the bombs, they're all used throughout the game in a type of puzzle. So I get to use the sword there to flip a switch that's behind the statue. Or I get to use bombs to blow up the rocks that are covering the doorway for us. I think that's something that's kind of nice to have in a video game.
Yeah, so there's a very limited pool of weapons and armors in this. There's basically 4 different types of weapons. There's 3 tiers to each of them. So you have swords, you have axes, you have bombs, and you have claws. Claws give a boost to magic. Swords give a little bit of a speed boost. Axes are able to cut trees down, but don't actually do anything in battle, except hit a few weaknesses on enemies. And bombs never miss. So each one has an in-battle benefit as well as an out-of-battle benefit. And initially when Tybalt walked into this area, he was fighting encounters on the map, but they were invisible. Well, he went and picked up the magic mirror, and now he can see where all the encounters are. Now, we already know where all those encounters are. If this were an any percent run, you're trying to go super fast and whatnot, you wouldn't need that. You already know everything you need to do here. But for the 100% run, you have to pick that item up. So it is a couple extra fights that Tybalt does, but, you know, now we can see all the fun sprites on the screen.
Yeah, we don't. There is no randomness to it. Like, we get to see them, and that's something that changed in the future Final Fantasies. Is that we see all the fights we run into. It's not random encounters. They're predictable.
Well, they're predictable as far as where they are, and that's about the extent of it.
True. Yeah, because there is many different types of encounters for each each one, which goes on that frame roll.
If you don't mind me asking, what is the required criteria for 100%?
So 100% we have to collect all items from their vanilla location. With this particular game, there is a lot of inventory manipulation that can be done, so we can technically glitch in every single item into the game. But that kind of defeats the purpose of a 100% category. So even if we can glitch them in, we still have to go to each area, each chest, and grab the item. It's the only requirement. However we do it, doesn't matter. We gotta go there. So we will be going to my favorite place, Lava Dome and Firebird, multiple times to hear the amazing music in there.
Yeah, Lava Dome, Firebird. For those who might be more familiar with the any percent run, you basically would never see them except for about 30 seconds worth of stepping into Firebird before leaving it forever. and then glitching everything else you need into your inventory. Well, in 100% you don't do that. You go through and you actually collect the items from the lava dome, and you get to go to the mine, and you get to do all these things and fight all these different bosses that you just skip right over. And we're talking like 40 minutes of game time, if not a little more, that you're just skipping over.
We go back later with a bit of power overwhelming. You'll see what we mean once we get done here and actually get to the real difficult part of the run where I am severely under-leveled.
I did want to shout out the birds that you were just fighting. Those birds are one of my favorite enemies when they transition from sprite to sprite, like they're dying sprites, where they go from fully feathered birds to like no feather birds, just still floating in the air. I think that's kind of neat. And we see Tybalt getting a little trolled here. Magus keeps getting blinded and also paralyzed, and so I think that cost him a couple of heal potions, I believe, that Phoebe may have used, or the heal spell.
She used a cure potion at some point in time. That's not good. I may have to switch this back to vanilla style routing. There's two different routes we can run this, and that's either Hungry Benjamin, as I like to call it, or vanilla style. I just noticed my cure potions are completely gone, and that's not good. Okay.
So, Tybalt likely going to be resorting to some backup strats here.
Yep.
Because his inventory has gone kablooey, but that's okay, because he's good at this game and he'll get around it.
We'll figure it out. Like, I just need to see what happens when we use the cure potions, whether or not what they'll turn into. Like I said, that'll come about once we're done with Ice Pyramid here and we get a few other items. Basically, once we get to Fireberg, I'll know what we need to do. I can definitely pick up a cure potion here to buy one actually from the shop here. And, we'll figure it out. Nothing ever went
And
wrong.
it's less punishing in the 100% run to have small mishaps. In the any percent run, you literally just soft lock your game. If, for example, you accidentally use your heal potions before completing the giant tree, which will be later in the game, there's a couple of different things where if any of the menus are messed up, your run is dead. It's a little more forgiving in the 100% category. So, honestly, better to learn the 100% category if you were ever planning on running or learning this game than learning on the any percent route.
Just trying to think of whether there's cure potions in a ground chest.
Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yep, go right ahead. I'm just going through. I don't really have anything major until we get to the Fun Ice Golem.
Okay, well, we got a $20 donation from Ragnar, which reads, "Cozy community, wild runs with great commentary, and a fantastic cause. Thanks to everyone involved."
Yeah, thank you so much for that donation, and thank you everyone who's donated so far during this run. Greatly appreciated. And Tybalt, when you get to the noble armor room, the left side of that room, the right chest, is cure potions.
Yep. I just need that top row to be full, and it'll fill up the fourth slot. I think cure potions. I think heal potions turn into cure potions, and that'll be fine. I'll just have to eat an extra 200, another 256 seeds. So Ben's gonna be really, really hungry.
Yeah, super hungry. Yeah, this room, the chest, yeah, to the left of that enemy you're fighting currently is cure pots.
Backup strats for the win. Normally, some people will pick up the refreshers that I picked up at the very beginning of the zone in this particular room. I picked them up early in case I didn't dupe enough seeds, and I never switched over to bombs.
That's alright, you only got double confused.
That's fine. I got enough seeds. I duped extra, so we can definitely use an extra couple Thunder Chaos. It's fine. And the reason why I actually hear Ben actually outsped Phoebe is because she unconfused herself. She loses her turn completely if she wakes up from confusion. It's the one downfall to confusion. That's why I despise it so much.
Well, one of many downfalls. It's a horrible effect. But that noble armor that Tybalt just picked up, that is actually something that even in the any percent run has picked up. The reason being that armor specifically gives water resistance or resistance to water and ice attacks. In addition to being just a second tier of armor that's available, it's just quite good and it's very safe for the upcoming boss. Also, Tybalt, unlucky there, gets the companion character, Phoebe, hit with the stone status or petrification, and just opts to run away and redo the fight. And there you go. There's both party members inflicted with petrify. Again, status effects are awful, but you can just go through and you can select no, I don't want to give up, and redo the fight.
Like, if only Phoebe would have been petrified, it would have been fine, because Ben would have been able to take it out with bombs. It's the fact that Phoebe got petrified. It went into a different order than you were hoping for.
It's fun.
Yeah, totally.
I just gotta...
Go ahead.
I just gotta step out for a few minutes to use the restroom, but I'll be back shortly.
Yeah, so I've actually got a ton of extra seeds. I'm still trying to figure out where the potion got used. I know for the heal potions, your party member, even if they have the heal spell, will prioritize using potions over their actual spell. Which is why it's so dangerous in any percent run. And there we see prime example. I didn't swap my partner over.
I think it may have gotten used by Tristram, because I think you used 2 of the 3 cure potions very early on after the first battlefield.
Yeah, Tristan was on my party at that time when I used it.
It might have been. Might have been early Phoebe then. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was early Phoebe in Winery. Well, we'll figure out which route I have to go with.
Either way, you're gonna have a very, very hungry Benjamin.
Yeah. Because it all depends on what that heal potion turns into. Not particularly liking my bomb count here. 19 bombs. I should be fine. Depending on how, actually 18 bombs. Depending on how Ice Storm decides to treat me. If he does a bunch of waterfalls, may have to go and use the Night Sword.
Yeah, you might be able to. I mean, you can pick some more up though in Firebird,
Yeah,
unless you use them for Exitile.
Oh yeah, I use them for Exitile, and I can pick up bombs as I leave, but I have to have Phoebe out of the party for that. It's primarily in this fight that you want to use bombs. They do a little bit more damage than your Night Sword. And
Good opening attack, though, even though the Thunder was not the desired spell. It's only about 110, 115 damage difference. So this boss has about 6,000 health. It does very little, honestly, early on in the fight generally. A couple of little attacks here and there. The big attack that this guy does is the waterfall that Tybalt was alluding to, where it will do about 200 damage to each person in the party and heal back some health. So it's pretty devastating. It's not quite as devastating as Phoebe getting crit and dying. So yeah, that's not great. And we're just gonna do this one again.
I think I know what it is. It's the fact that I'm on figure and not scale. Ben was toast anyways. Or Magus was toast anyways.
And we're going to see the ice golem drop down into the next phase. It's really starting to melt, and this is where the waterfalls come in. Maybe not, though. Deciding to give you a pass. Normally it would have waterfalled by now, so that's actually good.
He's playing nice now after the
Wow. No waterfalls by this stage of the fight is absurd. That almost never happens.
There we go.
There we
There's
go.
waterfall.
It's not going to matter. This fight is over, but holy cow, that was... the second attempts on these fights are going beautifully for you. The first attempts, you're just getting bodied.
It's just showing off the best, the worst case and best case scenario each time. That's another thing I like about this game is the fact that a lot of the encounters, both regular encounters and boss encounters, kind of degrade as you fight them to kind of show you their HP throughout the fight. It's not a matter of, how am I doing throughout the fight. It's, you get to see the damage you're doing. And I took 2-3 steps to the right there, so I actually fell closer to the door. If I didn't, I would have fallen on the other side of the big wall, and it'd take a long walk. But now I get to walk all the way out of this dungeon and pick up 1 brown chest of 10 bombs.
Alright, I'm back.
And once we leave here, we're going to be picking up one of the most useful spells in the game, and I think in most any RPG game, the exit spell.
Yeah, in this game in particular, though, the exit spell is wonderful because it is not only used to, exit out of dungeons, it can also be used to exit enemies out of fights and be used offensively, which is phenomenal. The other nice part about that is it actually keeps your XP down so that you can do some shenanigans later in the game. So keeping that XP down by exiting the enemies is actually a tactic that's going to be used a lot in this run.
Yeah, as I'm already after general consensus, like normally I don't leave Ice Pyramid at 12. I'm usually 11, so we're already ahead of the normal EXP curve. And here comes our next battle tile. I want 10 squid fights. I don't care if I get strike first or they get, unexpected attack. I just want to see 10 squids. That's it. I don't want to have to run. Great time for donations.
I don't have any at the moment, but we still have the free enterprise bid wars. For Z-Sprite, you can vote art or music. And for the harp song, you can vote either lively or mournful.
see, I'm going to run from this fight here, because again, we can't take this out in one turn, and, you know, the Sphinx decides to, well, confuse us, so we're just going to run from that.
Yeah, and in this this particular tile, you're looking to get somewhere between 3 and 4 on average of those Sphinx encounters. They are the air quote rare encounter on the tile, so you shouldn't see them more than 1 out of every 3 attempts taking an encounter on the tile. That being said, I've seen folks have upwards of 10, 12, 13 of them, and seen as few as 0 on the entire run through. So very variable, and you just never know what you're going to get. Classic Mystic Quest.
Mm-hmm. You know, in the task run, they can actually use the sword, as it's a faster animation, but it requires a crit from the Knight Sword to get through this in one turn. Unfortunately, since we really can't guarantee a crit every time, we take the slow bomb animation.
Yeah, tassing this run versus RTA are so wildly different as far as just what you're able to do and manipulate. Obviously, as humans, we don't have the ability to manipulate things on a frame-by-frame basis, whereas in TAS, you can absolutely manipulate things at that granular level. So the TASes for this game, while they haven't really been honestly fleshed out in a couple years, they're still incredible to watch, and they blow the any percent and 100% records out of the water by many, many, many minutes, just simply based on the frame manipulations.
Actually, a little bit of correction there. The task run for 100% is sitting at a 235 and change. And world record for this right now for 100% RTA is sitting at 236, I believe, and change. So pretty close to task rate. We got our exit spell. We grabbed that before we decided to do our next little side quest here of talking to somebody, because we're tired of walking and we just want to exit. We got to make this long walk down to talk to Phoebe's grandfather, Spencer, and having exit to just leave this place instantly, a lot faster. Because we don't get to walk that fast. We stay the same speed.
Yeah, walking speed in this game, as well as so many others, leaves a little bit to be desired, for sure. But that is kind of just, you know, vanilla games in general. The walking speed is always pretty darn slow. So you really have to enjoy the scenic route to get to everything. But there is Spencer, and we get the Venus key from him. And that's going to open up access to one of the better items in the game.
Yeah, we have to go into the back entrance of this location to kind of set ourselves up to be able to get to Firebird. We have to move a statue that sticks around if you move it correctly. That's basically what the old man says there, is that something funny about this statue. So kind of hinting at you of what you need to do in this particular puzzle. If you ever actually own this game and bought it in box with the instruction manual, it actually tells you where every single item is in the game. It'll tell you that exit is at a battle tile in Aquaria area, or the Knight Sword is an Ice Pyramid. It's not really hidden where the items are to the point of where do I get it, but more of the general location.
Yeah, and typically on a casual playthrough, you'd be looking to do a lot of those battlefields anyway, fight those enemies for XP, you know, get your GP rewards, get your experience rewards. It's quite beneficial to fight those random tiles. In the speedruns, of course, you only fight the ones that give items or spells, because you don't need to fight any of the other ones. There are strategies developed that mitigate the necessity of fighting any of the non-required battlefields.
Actually, I need to do this before I forget. get the last seed. Oh, we'll find out here shortly what routing I get to do. I used to do the old routing, so I'm familiar with it. It's a good backup one in case the new routing doesn't work. The new routing
my
has
favorite companion character, Ruben. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, so the old routing what I consider to be a kind of a vanilla playthrough as you go through all of the areas as intended in the vanilla. New routing, you kind of do things out of order with more power. So we'll see which one we actually get to showcase off here. There's Tristan. He gives us his nice old multi-key to be able to get into the house there. And I just bought 0 seeds there. We should be good. So yeah, what exactly did I just do here? I bought 0 seeds, and we saw a 0 there in next to seeds, and I ate one. What happened, Possum?
You actually had a stack of 257 of them. 256? Who knows what the number is? It's a large number. What you're seeing right now, basically, is Tybalt is going to do shenanigans. A lot of under-the-hood stuff in this game is broken with the inventory. As he completes using the stack of seeds that he just bought, it's going to cycle back, and it's going to turn his cure potions into something else. Now, you can see every time he uses one of these seeds because his character's menu is lighting up, and you get to hear the confirmation of the eating of the seed. So he's now down to 66, 63, 57, etc., going down, and he's going to get to 0, and then he's going to get back around again, and you're going to see the inventory change a little bit.
Now, I hope to see a particular item where that 2 is there for the cure potion. Okay, we're good.
Yep.
So Ben just became really, really hungry. We're going to be eating about an extra stack of seeds we didn't normally have to. But hey, backup strats. Or backup of backups.
Yeah, basically just making sure the inventory is doing what the inventory is supposed to do. Tybalt now has some random sky coins in his inventory. They allow him to go and open doors to the final boss that he doesn't have access to, so they don't actually do anything. Not to mention they're not usable yet because he hasn't activated them. He'll get to that in a second. It's all shenanigans, and I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. So normally, once I eat this next stack of seeds, that would be it. However, I have to eat this entire stack too to get to the next stack to change this green coin into like a purple coin, and that's what we're going to be using. Which, for those of us who played vanilla casually, it's the sun coin that we normally get from this location by defeating the dragon and yeah, we're good. We're safe.
Yeah,
we can do the we can do the nice routing.
Yeah, and so the sun coin now is in his inventory. He can activate that soon TM and kind of go from there. He also gets to pick up mega grenades. Mega grenades are wonderful. They're super neat. They do a ton of damage, and they're required for the end of the game as well. This is a fight that Tybalt is taking basically in order to activate the coin to be usable. So what you'll see is he's going to go through his inventory a little bit just to make sure that that gets used and have it go through and be able to be used on the door to skip this section and come back to it in a bit.
Yeah. So essentially what it is, I did the same thing I did with the seeds. I duped it, but the duplication actually goes into its vanilla location. So now the game recognizes that, hey, I beat the volcano. I have the sun coin. I can now actually continue on. without having to do Volcano. But we'll be back. This is 100%. Don't worry, we have to go back.
Yeah, it's just going to be coming back with everybody's favorite, Phoebe 2.
I did a second time there just to remove the Sun Coin from my inventory. If you use the Sun Coin as an item out of battle or even in battle, you can actually hard lock your game. You have to reset to, you just go to a black screen. That's bad.
Yeah, you can do that in a couple different situations. One is when you are using an item you're not supposed to. The other one that you will run into, and this is something that you can even run into casually, is when you are transitioning screens. If you are hitting your L or R buttons to basically change from manual to auto, or I think it can even happen when swapping weapons, you can actually have the game basically bug out and just get stuck on the screen transition and kill your run. And it's like a 1 or a 2 frame window that can happen on screen transitions, so it's always recommended not to be mashing while you are doing your screen transitions for that reason.
Not that I haven't done that before. We're going to go back to Firebird here. We just got the Gemini Crest, and that's one of the teleportation tiles that this allows us to go to different areas through certain houses. It's really nice in this because we get to buy our battle axe from this lady, and then we're going to end up going back to another house in another town we've already been to, the good old Aquaria, to be able to buy our steel helm. It kind of routes in really nicely. We have to buy the steel helm now, because if we actually have the later helms in the run, she won't sell us it. She'll go, you already have a better helm. You don't need this steel helm. It's useless to you.
Yeah,
So
same with the battle axe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you don't buy those when you get an upgrade, the game basically says, nah, you're not allowed to have that. Carry on and keep your money. And it's like, but no, I need that to complete my game. It's like, no, bye. So they literally won't take your money. They'll tell you to go away, which is kind of crappy.
Yeah, so now that we haven't actually beaten Volcano, we don't get to see where we're going. We're kind of hidden here by the clouds. Because beating the Volcano actually removes the clouds, and bye, Ruben.
No! Come back, Ruben.
Don't worry, we get somebody as a replacement.
Defeated. This is the hardest fight in the game. It can sleep you. Yeah, oh boy. It can poison you. It can stone you. This mummy is awful, and Magus just has to go toe to toe, mano a mano, and oftentimes get absolutely devastated by it. Tybalt only takes 1 death there, which is probably good considering the RNG in the rest of this run.
Yeah, lately my luck has been the next mummy fight with Tristram, because Tristram doesn't do much damage to them because, well, they take reduced damage from poison, and, well, yeah. Yeah, Tristram, he's a character that exists in this video game. That's the nicest thing I can say about him. The rest of the companions all really do have their perks and the things that are good about them. Tristram sadly doesn't. No, right now, Tristram is a shield for us. Since he can't take these out very quickly, we just defend with him. We don't care if he gets petrified or poisoned. We're just going to exit out the enemies there. No, Tristram cares that those things are happening to him, but we don't care. It's kind of savage, but it's the truth of the matter that he's just not very effective in these fights. It's kind of a rotten situation to get him in because he doesn't do a ton. He can help a little bit on these specters, but he doesn't help a ton on the mummies, for example. Which is why I did exit on one, and I actually ran out of my white magic, so I wasn't able to cast exit. And now we're gonna go ahead.
I was gonna say you were able to get through that. You're gonna head on over this way, and you're gonna do one more fight. Then we're gonna talk to a big old tree, have some fun, and figure out that Tristan is in fact not the hero of the adventure, and we need to go get new friends.
New friends indeed. We did see that Tristan was what, 27, I believe. Our next partner is going to be
3, I think.
Oh no!
And the next partner is 32. I want to
31.
say 30. Yeah.
31
Strong.
and then 34. So we're a bit underleveled to what the game expects us to be here.
Yeah. A smidge. Yet, interestingly enough, Magus is still stronger than Tristan.
Yeah. Because we got all the spells.
Well, also, magic is very, very strong in this game compared to most weaponry. So yeah, it's kind of a thing to have the strongest magic user possible as quickly as you can get them. That's a little bit not the case with Kaylee. She's not the greatest magic user. Her axe actually does a ton of damage and is put to great use coming up, but she still has some very good, strong spells. Certainly better than what Tristan is rocking.
I went to the house too early. I actually have to go talk to Spencer first. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Now, because then we gotta make the long walk back down here again. We get to one of my favorite parts in the run. Once we talk to Spencer here, and we actually get our next fun item out of logic, because we're not supposed to have the tracking claw before we have one of the best claws, you know, because we skipped all of Volcano. Mind you, we don't have the life spell, so only our partner will have the life spell. Our life spell is sitting in Volcano right now, just waiting for us. So that's the one thing about this routing that kind of gets a little dodgy, is that we don't have life. Only our partner does.
But at least you get life in this run. That's one of the really super sketchy parts about any percent in this game, is that you never get the life spell for your main character. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah. It's really rough sometimes.
Yeah, and there goes Phoebe, just booking it out of here so fast. Why can't we move that fast?
Yeah, Phoebe's whole thing is, in addition to like not giving you the items that she could have just given you, she also likes to blow things up, and so she just blew up that cave because, well, it's what Phoebe do.
She wants to take faster. Why not use bigger bombs? And she's like, and you're like, no, don't use that. You're not used to. Oh no.
Phoebe was used to the jumbo bombs, not the mega grenades.
Mm-hmm. Bit of a power difference there.
But in her defense, I mean, those mega grenades are super powerful.
Oh yeah, and that's why you have to throw them away from you. Now we have Kaylee in our party. She comes a little bit better leveled, and with at least one extra spell, she has Arrow now, which is a wind spell. We don't have that on our character just yet. This game likes to give you items that are good for the area upcoming, like we would have picked up Fire casually before going to Wintry Cave. We picked up Blizzard before going into the Volcano area. And now we're actually on our way to get our Arrow spell here. I left that particular doorway to put myself in a position when I exit, I will be put back in the correct location.
And this is a particularly fun fight because the enemy in the middle is such a low level, and you might recognize that Minotaur from the very early game. You always get a strike first here. So even though the ninja on the left-hand side is super high leveled and scary, and the Chimera looking enemy is super high level and scary, because the one in the middle is super low leveled, you always get a strike first, and you can always pick up Arrow for free. So it's kind of an interesting little quirk of this game that allows you to get that arrow spell basically for free, anytime, every time.
Oh, and she also comes with heal and cure now, as well as life.
Yes.
So she got a bit of an upgrade with her magic. This is times when we don't want three encounter battles. We always want 2. But if there's 3, we can still take it in 2 turns if we use our arrow spell as well. Not ideal,
Yeah, and
but
having
we'll take it.
yeah, and having infinite ethers as well. Using the extra magic cast now doesn't matter. Tybalt can just go through and feed everybody full of ethers, and they'll have all their magic back. So there's no more resource management, if you will, in this run, from the perspective of, are we ever going to have to worry about running out of spells again? The answer is unequivocally no, as long as Tybalt keeps track of what his spell count is at any given time.
We're going to make a quick detour down here to look at this particular chest. And then we're going to see something familiar here once we pick up this chest.
Is it Magus getting petrified?
No, yeah. Yep, that's a familiar sight. We're back, we're fine. Out of battle, we're no longer petrified, it's alright.
Shout out to the 3 stacks. Every encounter.
That's my luck. That's just normal. It's later in the tree when you only want to see 2 with the worms.
It's alright, you'll see slimes with them. It's fine.
Ugh.
But hey,
Oh,
giant axe.
Twins!
So Tybalt now has the final claw, the final bomb, the final axe. It's going to be a while before he gets the final sword.
Oh yeah, the final sword. And everybody's favorite tower.
Yeah, so the next, I don't know, pick in indeterminate amount of time. The next that much time is good for donations. Feel free to hop in at any point, because this is the longest, grindiest portion of the game. It's not going to take a super long time, but it's just all encounters up to a boss. It's like 3-4 floors from now.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I would just like to remind everyone that this is Speedrun Ragnarok. We are raising money for Take This. Take This helps people in the gaming community suffering from mental illness by letting them know that they are not alone in their struggles and there are treatment options out there to help. Take This reaches out to gaming companies to help them promote healthier and more productive work environments and ensure they have methods in place for helping employees who suffer from mental illness. Take This's website, takethis.org, has freely available stories of hope from people who are managing their mental health, as well as articles on mental health issues in gaming culture. Also, you can support Take This and get some sweet Speedrun Ragnarok swag by ordering one of our official t-shirts. Use !point merch in chat, and that will give you the links to our listings on Bonfire.
Awesome. And yeah, thank you so much again to Speedrun Ragnarok and the Valkyries, and to Take This, everyone a part of this. It's been an awesome marathon to watch. All the different runs and all the amazing folks doing everything, on screen and behind the scenes. So, I know for me, it's always cool to be able to do commentary for any run, especially with a good friend like Tybalt. So, keep up the awesome run so far, buddy. And thank you for inviting me to do comms with you.
Oh, no problem. Hey, we're actually in good encounters here. These are the encounters we want to see. We want to see 2 worms upcoming, because Healy Zero can take them out one shot.
Yeah, 2 worms good, 3 worms kind of eh. 2 worms and an ooze really bad. You can't get the 2 worms and an ooze yet. That's a little bit later, but yeah, not the best.
dropped input, a drop down input, so she casts life. It's fine.
Thankfully, her physical accuracy is good enough that she's rarely going to miss life casts here.
We actually use that a little bit later in a tower where it's faster to use animation-wise, use the life spell versus arrow. But considering we have to take out 2 enemies here, arrow is the best way to go.
Yeah, one thing we haven't really touched on yet is animation time. A lot of the speedrun is optimized based on what the best spells are to use at any given point. Every spell has different animation time. So, like, the lightning spell, super duper quick. It's like 0.75 seconds. The meteor spell is like 3.75 seconds. Like, if you can use spells that save multiple seconds over and over again, just by having better spell management than somebody else, you can save minutes of time throughout one of these runs. And it's, I think, one of like the last things that was like truly optimized kind of historically through the game was figuring out like when is it best to use a thunder or a blizzard or something that's not a meteor. You know, when can we get away with a faster spell versus a slower one? And it's been cool to see that evolution over the years.
And I know Fumo Malian's actually still working on some of that, especially in Volcano. There's a lot of fights that are twofers. You have to manage your wizard spells with Feedy and when to use seeds. It still needs to be truly optimized, but I know that's something he's been working on.
Yeah, Fumo, you know, not to get too far sidetracked from Tybalt or what's happening here, but Fumo, one of the primary routers of this game at this point, where a lot of his routes for both the any percent and 100% are in place now. He was basically kind of the grandfather of the Venus Shield route in any percent, which is largely used by almost everyone, not quite everyone, but almost everyone in the community now uses the Venus Shield route. And we did see our first ooze there. So the 2 worms in the ooze encounter is actually the rare encounter. Again, everything is in 256 frame loops, and the third set of 34 frames is that 2 worm 1 ooze encounter. It actually gets put at the tail end of that 256 frame window and kind of gets cut at the 2/3 mark. So it's just slightly under a 1 in 3 to get that encounter. So you pretty much never want to see it though, because it's super awkward to have to fight. The oozes now at this stage of the game reflect magic, which you don't really want to be dealing with that because everything that you're doing here is basically magic.
Yeah. And if you leave your partner on auto, the first attack may actually just be, oh, I'm going to cast arrow on them, get reflected, and they go down. And you're like, no, I need you up.
Yeah, eventually, after doing it enough times, one of the kind of neat things is the AI will see those encounters, they will do their moves, and they usually will figure out not to do it again. But in a speedrun, you don't ever want to set them up to the point where they have to learn. You just want them to do it, even if that means you have to control their inputs. Also, those frogs are jerks, so I'm glad that you got through those without too much trouble.
Oh yeah, because they'll petrify you, they'll poison you, they'll do just about everything to you, and they're not fun. Good thing I have the execute up.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to tackle these fights. Tybalt just opting to go through and kind of take them on one by one. Gonna work out just fine. as long as we don't try to seed Magus in fight. But everything else is going to work out just fine there. So Tybalt going to be moving on past this stage. Going to be climbing up using the claw, dropping down, and then making sure to hit the claw to basically reclimb. It is quite the path back if you drop in here, so yeah, don't fall off this little set of ledges. It's pretty brutal.
You fall back down a couple floors and you have to walk all the way back. It's not fun. And then here comes our favorite fights. Nothing but ooze.
Yeah, this is where Tybalt kind of alluded to this earlier, where you want to see drain attacks. So if these oozes use a drain attack, they can die in one cycle. Basically, you'd have an axe hit from Kaylee, a bomb hit from Magus, and then if they crit and drain, they will perish and basically be gone by themselves. So that's where having that drain resistance kind of stapled into the resistance pool from that resistance glitch on the save files comes in handy. You don't usually get to see it too much, but even if it happens only once or twice, it can be a 5 to 10 second time save, which is great.
Yeah. We'll go to the second door here, actually. Yeah, the first door is closer and a lot less chopping. However, there's an ooze fight there, so we want to avoid that.
Yeah, we get to go just mow down the mushrooms here, pretending we're playing Mario World or something, and just bopping toadstools over and over for fun. And then we get to oozes because the toadstools, I don't know, were not fun enough, and now we have to find awful fights. This is one of those fights, well, that's not what Tybalt wanted to do. So this is where if you cast a spell on those oozes, it will reflect, as you saw. You just want to be single targeting the skeleton there. So this fight is going to be pretty rough for Tybalt from here. Going to need to do a little bit of recovering. And these enemies are rude. That's a Doom Dance that is incredibly unlikely to hit. Those skeletons do not have a lot of magic attack power at all. So actually having that land on Kaylee of all people is very rare. Thankfully the oozes double crit him and put him out of his misery quickly, as opposed to dragging things out as they are wont to do.
Best way to get through this is to have Kaylee just single target the skeleton and just bomb with Ben twice. You can force them to...
There's that dissolve attack, that drain, where it crit and actually took care of itself. So not really beneficial in any way in this case, but could have been in in a different fight.
Yeah, they only have about 800 health, so this is gonna be a turn one. As okay, fine.
The old double drain crit.
And we can opt to use the claw here. The claw has some extra special properties with it. It does a lot of status elements, so it does poison, paralyze, stone, but it's all chance-based. So you want to take the chances of doing a petrify on the enemy, and whereas I'm just going to go through it and bomb, which is a guaranteed hit.
Yeah, big air quotes on that chance as well. That again, it's all frame based, so like good luck RTAing it. There are some built-in things under the hood with the character strings and how different values are calculated. There's roughly an 80 character string that kind of determines everything in the code, but we're humans. We can't do anything with that. A task could. But on this end, we are kind of at the mercy of what we end up with if we use things like claws instead of bombs. So you see Tybalt opting for the bombs, as he stated, because they're guaranteed to hit.
Yeah, which is why I picked up those bombs. The one brown chest in Focus Tower is always guaranteed, even if you have a party member that has ammo-based weapon like Tristram or Phoebe will always be bombs in that chest, no matter what. Other chests will turn into the ammo that your party member uses, because the game expects you to use your other weapons or spells, and not your bombs.
Yeah, much like the game expects you not to have infinite seeds to use magic whenever you want, the game also doesn't expect you to be using your bombs whenever you want for everything. So it expects you to actually have to manage resources instead of, well, basically cheating.
Cheating? No. It's features. Features.
Right. Not cheating, not bugs. Features. Now, that all being said, we are getting very close to my favorite boss in the game. And this is my favorite boss in the game. Not for the 100% category, actually. Because in the 100% category, it's really not too bad. But in the any percent category, the boss that is coming up, it is mean because you don't have the life spell, and you don't have the HP to tank the hits, and there's a lot of status ailments, and it's just a gigantic troll altogether. So it's not as bad in the 100% run, but it could still mess up Tybalt's day, and the way that this run has been going with the boss fights, it's probably going to do that again here.
Yeah, good old Ghidra here, the first true Chimera we fight.
And the most fun part of this is when the skeletons just haul off and do like double Doom Dance just to mess with you, like that. But the Paralyzed thankfully missed on Kaylee, and the Doom Dance also missed on Kaylee. So dodging disaster to start the fight there.
Yeah, actually, Kaylee with the endgame PB armor is immune to Paralyze.
Magus, however, is not immune to taking it on the chin there from Ghidra. But as you can see, and actually the figures do a less good job of illustrating this. The scale does a really good job, I think, of illustrating just how much damage Ghidra does. You just see Magus just losing, 3/4 to, upwards of like 80%, 90% of his health every single move. So it's a pretty spooky fight damage-wise, even in the 100% run. So we'll see if Tybalt opts to cure or just go for it here. He's going to take it a little safe, probably wise, because again, Ghidra does a lot of damage. But hey, not bad.
Let me get to everybody's favorite message. Yeah, Goon Kid.
So in the background, the little trees spell "Go on, kid" with a couple exclamation marks at the end. Super neat little message. But yeah, it's actually it looks like Goon Kid, not Go On Kid.
Yeah, we're gonna make one final pit stop before we actually leave this area. We could have had this spell beforehand, but there's lots of encounters, and once we complete out the tree, we don't have to fight any more encounters because they're all gone. But that chest back right there is really useful in the upcoming fights that we're gonna have to go through.
Yeah, that is the Meteor spell that is coming up. We did mention it briefly earlier. The Meteor spell has a super long cast time, but it also deals a lot of damage. And for when you get it in the game, this is when you start to get to the point where your main character actually starts being your primary damage dealer in a lot of cases. So we'll start to see kind of a shift where it's, the companions doing a lot of the heavy lifting, or maybe 50-50 splits, to, in a lot of fights, the main character doing a large bit of damage. We get a Cupid locket from the nice lady here in Windia. She gives us that Cupid locket for a couple hundred gold pieces. That gives more and more in the way of the ability to resist statuses and things like that. And then we talk to the old guy here, and he's like something about a thunder rock or something. Bring it to me, I'll do a cool thing.
Well, first off, the Rainbow Bridge is broken, and his granddaughter Norma is stuck in Pazuzu's tower. You can't bring the Rainbow Bridge until the winds die down. Hey, Mount Gale, that's probably where the wind crystal is, because that's what we've been saving. We've been saving the crystals, as with pretty much every Final Fantasy game is. It's all based around crystals. We saved the water crystal, we saved the earth crystal. Now it's a matter of we gotta save the wind crystal, right? That's gonna be up here. Someone's controlling the wind with it, right?
Of course. But yeah, we see now Kaylee goes and single targets a skeleton. Magus goes and double casts, or not double casts, but casts on multiple. And now he's actually doing some of the heavy lifting for a change here. But Tybalt kind of alluded to also the name of the town, and kind of like, oh, we're going to find that wind crystal because it's Windia and all that. And one of the fun things that was brought up very early on is the naming conventions for the towns. Foresta is where the forest is. Fireberg is where the fire and lava is. Aquaria is where the water and ice was. Windia is where the wind is. I hope y'all are catching the pattern here, because it's a tough one to pick up. So, you know, I'm not going to fault you at all if you don't get it. But, yeah, we'll test everyone out there to make sure that they're picking up what the game is laying down.
Kind of a twofer in the Mount Gale in a while. That's kind of nice to see. I don't have to cast with Kaylee. I can just be your cast, and I can continue on my day.
Yeah, always nice when that happens, because those are actually the rares. But yeah, Meteor strong enough to wipe out 2 enemies here, so again, just makes it much quicker. And Tybalt out of wizard magic on Magus, using a seed to basically give him an ether, get his forecast back, and head into the final fight before the boss of the area, everybody's favorite Headless Horseman.
Good old Dullahan. We'll see if I can pull a miracle off here and do some interesting fun strats with him here. Yeah,
the interesting thing here, there's a lot of ways to tackle this fight. Most of the world records or very, very strong PBs go for what are called heal straps, which I think Tybalt is going to go for here if he has a good opportunity. But otherwise, you basically just go through and you try to meteor it. So Tybalt casts Heal on Dullahan, which has a chance to paralyze, it has a chance to poison, it has a chance to do a lot of things. And it looks like you at least got a 1-turn paralysis there. We'll see how long it lasts, but that's really, really good fortune, because that's what you want out of this fight, is that paralysis on Dullahan. And that's at least a 2-turn there. So, really, really good luck getting that paralysis off the heal strat. So basically so far Dullahan has done nothing. But take damage. This is almost unheard of to have this happen. So pretty incredible Dullahan fight that we're seeing right now.
Oh, he's no longer paralyzed, but the fight's like almost done.
Yeah, so that was literally like a near perfect Dullahan fight. Tybalt will probably never have that good fortune again on Dullahan, and I'm not joking about that. That is such an incredibly rare thing to see.
I have actually never done that in any run I've ever done. I've tried the heal and I've never been able to pull off a near perfect fight.
Yeah, like one of the things about it, it's so very rare to have it happen. And to get it to stick for more than like a turn is super weird to see, super rare to see. I know the any percent world record, I think it has a 7-turn paralysis on it. It was basically a perfect fight. But it's one of those things that it just saves you so much time because Dullahan can cast Doom Dance repeatedly. It can use Head Doomerang, which is basically a cleaving attack for like 400 damage to both party members. It's a very difficult boss. Unless you have Tybalt's RNG on that particular fight, trying to make up for some of the other awful RNG on the bosses earlier.
Yeah, we pick up our Apollo Helm there, which is technically the final upgrade of our helm. Which gives us a little bit extra damage, gives us some wind resistance for the upcoming boss battle here in the next location. That good old tale of something that's really useful after it would have been even more useful.
The usual.
We can't see the Rainbow Ridge just yet, but now we're in the tower. Everybody's favorite place where even the best runs go to die. Because of the boss here, Pazuzu, or as commonly known, Jerkbird.
Good old Jerkbird. The interesting thing about this is, at least in the 100% run, you're a little more insulated from having to deal with the different floors because you have a little more flexibility on the 100% run, whereas on any percent, if it's not floor 6, your run is just dead. On 100%, there's a couple floors that are decent. So it gives you a little more flexibility running it casually or trying to get PBs on a speed run, which is also one of the nicer parts about the 100% run. It's just the extra safety and the flexibility.
Here's what I mean about earlier about how I will swap to have Gale use arrow. Black magic always is a guaranteed hit, whereas life, it's if I'm blinded, I may not actually hit with life. So
one of the wonderful things about those little eyeballs is they use their explode mechanic there. You would think, hey, you know, they're attacking you for the remainder of their HP. You should only, you take whatever damage they have left for hit points, right? Wrong. When they use their explode attack, they deal damage equal to their maximum HP instead of what's actually left. So, yeah, good luck. Also, Tybalt's fate was just determined by what frame he talked to Pazuzu on. He has no control over what floor the bird is going to end up on outside of when he talked to the bird in the table of frames. So we'll find out. Good luck ever simulating that RTA.
yeah,
we're yet to figure out how.
Yeah, we know the frames that causes it. It's just a matter of figuring out a way to know what frame we're on at any given time. That's yeah. I know Vultures has been doing a lot of research on that, and who knows if we'll be able to figure out something of that way to know what frame we're on.
Yeah, and there is a cool little mod that was released, I want to say it was about a year ago now, where it is a floor 6 guarantee, which is particularly nice for the any percent run. But basically, you're guaranteed to get the best floor just based on the coding that's been done kind of on the back end for the mod. So That's a cool one also if you are looking to learn the speed run. Particularly the any percent run, you can just kind of learn what the optimal way through the game is, instead of having to grind out multiple attempts while first learning it.
Yeah, it is actually a separate category.
Yeah.
In the run, it's the any percent or 100% floor 6 guaranteed, because it is a technical ROM hack to have that guaranteed every time.
Right.
But the funny thing is some of the stuff I'm doing here, like with the life spell, doesn't actually work in the Japanese version of the game. Life was broken when it got ported over to the US. Random things I know.
What is it that happened with it exactly? Was it life was supposed to only be usable on undead enemies, but
yeah,
it instead works on live enemies, or
Yep.
the living enemies? It got flipped.
Yep, it got flipped. It's supposed to, do damage to the undead and not do anything to the living. However, it got flipped around in translation and works on living enemies and does nothing to the undead.
Yeah, definitely an interesting little thing that happened.
Definitely want to heal before our next fun time of the Heckway, as we call it.
And the scoreboard is ready to go.
Through this little hallway, there's going to be 3 fights of 3 Sphinxes each. The question is, how many fights am I going to have to go through? Because they hurt a lot.
They can. It really depends if statuses get used. So if Tybalt can dodge petrification, he's probably fine. But if he can't, he's going to have a bad day. So...
Alright, well,
pretty
one
smooth
down.
Fight right there.
Going a little risky here. If they decide to double cast fire on Kaylee, that's kind of bad. Oh, wow.
That's kind of worse. Quick departure though, so you know.
Just a casual marathon run here, you know?
That's just Mystic Quest things. But yeah, these are fun and interactive fights. I know I've used that term a couple times now, but I truly do mean it. You just have zero control over what's happening in these. You can do as best as you want, and it just doesn't matter. Sometimes the game just has it out for you and says, nope.
Right, because even in casual, there's not much you can really do. That's just how the fight goes in casual.
Yeah, so, at best, you're going to tie the Heckway here.
I'll take it.
Not the best showing.
Look, I'll take the fact that I actually got, the near perfect Dullahan. I'll take it. I'll take any little victory I can get.
No, the near perfect Dullahan is definitely the highlight. Like, there's been a lot of cool stuff that's happened, but that for me is the absolute highlight of this run. I don't think there's very many things that can top that.
I life the mage and eggs out the Chimera because the Chimera is immune to life. However, I can still use it on the mage.
Also, the mages are jerks.
Oh,
They cast Quake, and it's not Quake. It's basically meteor level damage. It's really rude.
Please don't wish that into existence. That hurts a lot.
It does. It's like 300 HP to each party member. almost, again, damage is basically never relevant outside of boss fights. These mages are one of the rare exceptions to that. The sheer amount of damage that they do with their Quake spell is just ridiculous. But I think this would also be a pretty good time before we come up to the next boss. If we have any donations or any reminders or anything, this would be a pretty good time for him.
Well, I would like to remind everyone that there are still a few open bid wars for Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. You can vote on the Z sprite. Your choices are music or art, which is leading with $2. You can also vote on the harp song. Currently, Mournful is in the lead with $5, but Lively is also a choice. And for Final Fantasy Legend 2, you can vote Good Taste versus Bad Taste, and that bid war is actually pretty close. Bad Taste only leading by $5, so get your donations in. So, if you don't mind me asking, what's your favorite track in this game?
Oh, my favorite track? The final boss, Dark King. It's a toss between Dark King and Firebird. Like, the final boss theme is so good. I just sit there and just listen to it all day long.
And I would say for me, it's basically the rock theme for Mystic Quest. If you beat the game and you go to Firebird and you hang out kind of where Ruben and Tristram are in the inn, you get the rock theme, and to me that one's just an absolute bop.
The one where you can ask the band to play?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That was a fight that existed.
Yeah, like I said, the Quake can do 300 damage to Ben, or Magus, I should say. Because that's a great example of that. Like, the Chimera did his Quake, and it was only like 150. It was like, cool, and then Mage right after with 302.
Yeah, just going back to those donations and incentives, especially for the free enterprise stuff. I know that both Tybalt and myself play more free enterprise than might be healthy for either of us, but we both very much so appreciate the work that Scala Kitty does on all of the sprites for free enterprise. Somewhere in the neighborhood of like 600 of them at this point. And Xenocat as well on the music side of things, all of the harp songs. So super hyped to have those donations and incentives out there. Huge thank you from the FE side of things for all the work that Scala and Xenocat do on that game. Friends from a different Final Fantasy.
Have either of you tried the Mystic Quest randomizer?
Yes.
Yes, we have actually. And
We've actually talked about racing it for marathons and other events.
Yep. It's actually quite interesting and rando, and they've done a few different things. One of the things we'll do at the final boss, they actually removed from it. There is no quick fight for the Dark King. We'll get to that once we actually get to the Dark King. I gotta go back, I gotta hit that switch in case it's a 4-6. The only manipulation I get is kind of manipulate where Pazuzu goes, and that's with these stairs, with the switches here that I have to hit with my axe. That's one thing that Auto tells you. Hit the switches. Pazuzu right now is on an elevator. You hit the switch, he can no longer go to said floor or move from said floor that he is on. So if he's here at the top at floor 6, which in any percent is, the best floor to be on, we're just gonna lock him up here and we're not gonna care because it's the best floor. So we're gonna see, did we get the mythical 6th floor or not?
I mean, mathematically, we didn't, but you never know. Maybe we're going to defy mathematics.
Other feet. Nope.
No feet. No bird feet, sad day. But there's still a couple other floors that are not terrible in the 100% run. Tybalt will lose maybe a minute or two here and there to them, but like in an any percent run, you would just reset automatically, and your run would be dead at this point. Because any other floor is a minimum of about 4 to 5 minutes difference. Some floors being upwards of 10 minutes difference. And do we see some bird? Floor 5.
I have to actually sit there and think of when Lawson's had a 4 or 5. I'm trying to remember how to get to him, and I got to go back through the heckler.
Yeah, from what I remember, 5 is not actually a great one in a hundo because you have to pick up the X-Cal.
Yeah, you have to pick up the X-Cal, which means you got to hit the switch below anyway,
Yeah.
so that's fine. It's just a long walk back up and then around and down again. That is long.
Yeah.
Like, that's why 6 is still better than 5.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let's see,
But
there
yeah,
we go. See me again, using the life spell on the enemies to take them out a lot faster than the arrow. About
Yeah,
half the
so
animation time.
what we should have brought up at some point was the different floors of Pazuzu's tower. There are 7 floors. Floor 3 is where you initially talk to Pazuzu. You're never going to have him respawn right away on floor 3. He's also never going to respawn on floor 7 because you can't actually fight him up there initially. So what happens is he'll either appear on 6, 5, 4, 2, or 1. 6 is the best because it's just flip a switch, trap him in place, go get your items, and go walk back and beat him. Every other floor you have to hit multiple switches, fight extra encounters, and things like that, and it just adds time. So it's basically a 20% chance that, like, if you're going for world record runs, it's a 20% chance you're going to get it 2 hours into the run, or an hour 45 into the run, or whatever your time is. That is one of the most prohibitive reasons that folks don't run this game more than they might otherwise, and why that floor 6 manipulation, that ROM hack, if you will, was so cool when it came out, is that it guarantees that you'll be able to get the optimal Pazuzu tower, basically taking a 1 in 5 chance and making it a 100% chance that your run can continue.
Miscounted on my wizard spell, so I ran out.
One of the many things you have to keep track of. How many spells you have left as you're casting.
And you got to keep a track between 2 different people, and it gets tricky. Because, and unlike other Final Fantasies where it's 1 MP for all your magic, there are 3 for each person. You have your white, black, and wizard. And all have different totals.
Yeah. So you start out by getting basically a ton of white magic spells, honestly. It's a lot. And you don't really have to manage those too much. But the black magic spells can start to get a little rough if you're using, a lot of thunders, especially with like Phoebe early on. Then the wizard spells kick in, and those are like the flare, the meteor, and things like that. That's when it really becomes important to track them because you have limited uses. In Tybalt's case, I think he only caps out at, well, no, he just got a 5th cast of those wizard spells because he hit level 20. That gives you 1 cast every 4 levels. But it's tough to keep track of. A lot going on, thinking of what you need to do optimally in each fight, and then also having to manually count your spells because it only shows you for basically a split second in the menu.
Yeah, it depends how fast I'm going through the spell menu to see how many I have. Sometimes I can catch it, sometimes I can't. Depends on how fast I'm actually really going. This is kind of a situation of knowing what enemy is weak against what. I use the arrow on the Chimera because if it's weak against it, raise resistance against flare.
Yeah, the Chimeras are resistant to flare, to blizzard, to lightning, I believe, and to fire. Because I think flare is just the final fire level spell, but they're particularly annoying to deal with.
Now, Steve expects you to have white at this point, which is over in the Firebug area, but we don't get that, so at least until later. So we've got to just deal with what we got, and we're on our way. We got about a couple more encounters before we fight the Jerkbird. I've only got like 3 bombs I gotta use before we get to the mine, which is nice.
Yeah, instead of having to sit there and throw 30 of them.
Yeah.
But it is good you picked up that extra stack of 10, because otherwise you'd been 7 short.
Another thing we kind of didn't really touch on is the way that defend works in this game. Really didn't get to showcase it during Delahan, which is one of the more pivotal sections that it gets used. If something like Quake happens, what ends up happening is your partner will take all of the damage, and it'll only be single to them. So if you both were supposed to take 250 damage, only your partner will take 250 damage if they are defending. However, if they're blinded or confused, they will not defend you.
Yeah, basically the big usage for it is, we were talking about the Dullahan fight. Head-Doomerang is the big one, basically, where Dullahan takes his head and he actually throws it at you like a boomerang. Obviously you can't see the animation of that happening, but you can just visualize it and use your imagination, and it's pretty cool and scary to think about. But that attack is basically a cleaving attack for like 400 damage to each party member. Well, once you get far enough into the fight, you basically just have Kaylee sit there and defend and just make sure that Dullahan only hits her while Magus is still going through and just using the meteor spell. That's how a traditional Dullahan fight would end, with Kaylee defending the main character. But enough about Dullahan. We're at everybody's favorite Jerkbird, Pazuzu. I'll see if we get a clean fight here or not.
It's all about that stone beak.
But this is where Magus also is dealing more damage than Kaylee now. Kaylee doing about 1,500, Magus doing almost 2,000 per flare cast. Tybalt going to make sure that the party does not die. Pazuzu eventually going to put up a psych shield, and if you use magic, it will reflect magic. So got to be careful and got to know your encounter. Basically make sure not to cast spells once the wings are up like this. Otherwise it's a bad day. But then the Psych Shield drops, and now Tybalt can go back to using magic. And you'll also see Tybalt swapping to the Claw. The reason he swaps to the Claw for this fight is so that he can get that +5 to the magic stat. It adds about, I want to say, 150 or 200 damage to the flare usage. And this is a little bit scary. We need to get a heal off on Kaylee here and not have Magus die. And thankfully that did not crit, or else that would have been GG on this fight. But Kaylee back in business, which is good. And we're going to be very close after this flare. Probably 1 or 2 more spells, and Tybalt's going to be in there. But playing it a little safe makes sense. Don't want to wipe here. And when the Jerkbird gets to laying down on the ground, you know you're very, very close.
I've had very rare occasions where I've actually
Done that.
skipped the laying down.
Yeah.
It's fine. We got this.
Yeah, thankfully, no Doom Dances at all. So,
Oh yeah, no Doom Dances, no Stone Beaks. He's been relatively nice, actually,
yeah.
all things considered.
Probably like 1 axe hit away from the kill here, honestly. It's got to be super close.
Yeah, best play it safe, so... Well, there's a Stone Beak, but it missed, so...
Yeah.
There we go.
So, honestly, Jerkbird played pretty nice there. Not too bad at all. And off to get the Sky Coin for the second time, but the first time legitimately. We had a couple Sky Coins in the inventory earlier before Tybalt turned them into Sun Coins. But this Sky Coin gives you access to the final path in the Focus Tower. We're not going to go there quite yet, though, because there's an entire section of the game that Tybalt decided he was too good to go and play.
Yeah.
And that was the whole Fireberg section. There are Firebirds in Fireberg, but that's another story.
I think they're fire chickens, if I remember correctly. Hey! It's Ruben! He's back!
Yeehaw!
This is where Otto's asking for a Thunder Rock to increase the distance of the Rainbow Road to be able to get to the bottom of Spencer's cave because it's been collapsed due to Phoebe. So Ruben's back, he's a higher level, he's got 1 extra spell now, he's got white, as you saw the little like snowflake there in the wizard area. So now we're going to travel our way back to Fireberg, still dealing with the bit of earthquakes that are there, which take animation time, but we deal with it. To go get our Thunder Rock, our Charm Claw, Best Claw, and do a fun little glitch that I never knew existed until I decided to run this game, which is why we were mentioning about my bomb count being so low. Because that particular glitch that's coming up is dependent on how many bombs I have. There's a magic number.
Yeah, it's the magic number that breaks everything in this game.
Yeah, exactly.
That number is less than 1, right?
Yep.
Is it more than -1?
Yes.
Cool. I think I nailed it. Is it an integer?
Don't math me, please.
I promised there was going to be more math on stream.
This is true. I honestly thought you were talking about later there at the end, but you know.
Oh, no, there's lots more math. No, I'm kidding. So Tybalt is doing a battlefield here. He's needing more items. Actually, this is a spell, isn't it? This is not an item.
This is Thunder.
Yeah,
It's
so
our
he's
last
getting the
battle
Thunder spell. This is going to be basically a completely free set of encounters because Ruben is fast, and Ruben knows the white spell, and the white spell is super strong, and just kind of turns these lizards into napping lizards.
As you know, they lay down and disappear. To fall asleep.
Yep, very sleepy.
And he's only got about 7 white gas, which is why every once in a while I'm actually using Flare here with Magus just to make sure he has enough to continue on with the other fights. Because otherwise...
Yeah, the reason white is so good for these fights also is that the salamanders or lizards, whatever they are, they're also resistant to fire, and Flare being Magus's best spell is not actually going to be super beneficial here. So the white spell really going to be a hard carry for the next tiny little bit. But again, the game doesn't expect you to be like, hey, I have infinite magic forever and always. So they want you to be a little more creative, maybe use some weapons, some other things to take out these fights, not just spam the best spells in the game.
Yeah, so there's our white spell. Swap the bombs here, throw these last. There, throw them long distance.
But the reason Tybalt is getting rid of those bombs is he is about to do the closest thing to a map hack that exists in this game. It's not really a map hack, but it's going to seem like some weird things are happening. And the reason why it's going to seem like weird things are happening is because weird things are happening on the screen. So you're going to see he goes down this elevator, and it's totally normal. Nothing to see here.
Completely fine.
He just kind of glitched right through a skeleton there. Pay no mind. Nothing to see here. He's just kind of traveling in loops now, like what's going on. But yeah, basically what's going to happen is, well, we're just kind of teleporting into different places. So he used basically the elevator storage glitch. This is done by having no bombs. So he's mimicking the action of what those little elevators do anywhere, well, not anywhere, but very specific points on the map. And this allows him to kind of glitch into this area to pick up the Charm Claw, which is the claw that's actually one step weaker than the Dragon Claw he has. And he's going to use that one more time, actually 2 more times in this cave. So it's pretty cool little thing to see.
Gonna exit out, we're gonna use the seed on both in Ruben, because we need to refill his white cast to be able to get through these upcoming fights here. You may think I've got the Charm Claw here. It's a weaker claw. I just lost my ability to use the Dragon Claw, right? Because that's what's showing here. Well, I can just unequip it, and the game will automatically recognize that I have something better, so I still have my Dragon Claw once I swap over to it. However, for me to do this elevator in storage glitch, I have to have my bomb selected, because that 0 is storing the elevator animation, which allows me to skip that boss right there. You may be wondering how. Well, I gotta fight this fight and do some more shenanigans.
Yeah, so this is basically colloquially known as the Jin skip. It's not a super hard fight, but it's still faster to just go ahead and do this little elevator storage bit. And Tybalt just has to line it up right. 1, 2, down arrow, and away he goes. So, able to skip that boss fight entirely. There's not too many things that you can outright skip in this game, especially in a 100% category, but that's 100% for items, armors, weapons, spells, and things like that. It's not 100% in the way of like fighting all the bosses.
Yes. Now save Ruben's dad. We get to go back in town, get the Thunder Rock. Then we're gonna make our fun travel back over to Windia, give out of the Thunder Rock, and then we get to there's the Thunder Rock, And our spells are starting to fill out there. We really can't see our armor unless I go to a different menu screen. But our inventory is kind of getting nice and full there. Not too many more items left.
And you might be wondering, with all the stuff we were able to glitch into our inventory before, why don't we just glitch like a Thunder Rock in and everything else and just put it all in the inventory and then, you know, carry on with all the biggest, best items and ability to access everything at all times? Well, the problem with doing all that is getting it to cooperate to the point where it's all usable. You can glitch every single item in the game into your inventory. That is not the problem. The problem is what you saw Tybalt do earlier to basically make the Sun Coin usable. You have the same issues with a lot of other items. Not to mention, if you use the Thunder Rock out of order with auto, it just soft locks the game. So the Thunder Rock is kind of an issue because of that. So that's one of the reasons why there hasn't been anything developed yet. And maybe it's out there and we just haven't all figured it out. But that's one of the reasons why a lot of this pathing still has to be done.
Now we've freed this ship here. And the one nice thing that the developers actually put in this game is even if the fact that I have 0 bombs, since I have the mega grenades and it wants you to throw them, you can still remove debris without actually having any bombs.
Yeah, so the doors are just going to disappear with no animation. It's actually faster to do it this way, where you don't have to worry about the animations or what becomes of the bombs. You just press the button and the bomb pretends to go off and everything goes away.
And we just got our Mobius Crest, which we're going to be using to great effect, as that'll allow us to get to the ship. But we're going to be using it a little bit later once we're done with the ship, because we get our final team member here. That's the second time I've gotten ahead of myself.
I was going to say, our final team member, you say.
Yeah, no, I gotta go here. I gotta talk to Kaylee.
Yeah, we need a hat.
Yep, need the hat.
I mean, you can go to the ship,
Yeah.
but without the hat, it's not gonna be the greatest of experiences.
No. Even though the ship, to me, when I first started playing this as a kid, I couldn't complete it. I couldn't figure it out, and it's not very intuitive on how you get through this puzzle. You could search around all the ship, and you're just trying to figure out how you get to a certain location, and you're like, how do I get there? And if you've never played this is how you do the ship. My grandfather's actually one that showed me how to do this to get through the ship, and I was quite shocked when I saw him, like, you can do that?
Yeah, there's a way you think you should get through the ship, which would be like to go everywhere and do everything. But the real answer is like you fight 4 things and you just leave. It's so unintuitive, the optimal way through this if you are playing casually.
Yeah, you can climb the mast. You're never told that you can climb the mast. You just have to kind of just walk against the mast and figure it out. That's like...
Not to jinx anything, but great encounters on this boat so far.
Yeah. There's only one more chance of actually having a bad actual encounter with the Headless Horseman. It's right here.
Wow. Basically a perfect boat.
Yeah, because there's one more, but it's usually going to be a light flare anyways.
Yeah. Well, that was not great, but it'll still be fine.
He's a shield for us, you know. That's what we utilize some of the partners for, is to be a shield. Just take the hits for me and let me do my damage. because here's our final fight. And Ruben's generally faster, and we're just going to do a simple life spell. Hopefully he doesn't get hit here, and Flare will take out the other two.
And that is the last time that Tybalt will have to fight anything on this boat. He picks up his Gaia armor. That is the best armor. He talks to the captain, and he gives him his hat. And then Kaylee just magically shows up. I don't know, I guess she followed you here or something. Ruben suddenly is not feeling well again.
Yeah, he's still injured from his fall, so he's got to go get some bed rest. Oh look, Tristan's back.
Yay.
Oh no, he's gone.
Yay!
We're gonna exit out here, and we're gonna go back in, and we're gonna walk to the inn. Oh hey look, Phoebe!
Yeah, and now we get Phoebe. This is the Phoebe with maximum magic, level 34. Really, really strong character. It's gonna be a good time.
We use the inn there to kind of refresh some of our other HP and our other magic. Now we get to use the Mobius Crest to great effect because, like I said, we still have the Firebird to complete, so we're going to go to this random house here. And oh look, there's a warp tile, and we're back in Firebird. Now it's time to go do the volcano with Phoebe.
Yeah,
Makes
and
this
Phoebe...
so much simpler.
Ruben and Ruben's white casts are good. Phoebe and Phoebe's overall speed and white casts are great. Phoebe will still be slower than you'd want her to be at level 34, but it's really not too much of a problem. She's going to be so much faster than everything else here. And honestly, the main character, Magus, in this case, is also going to be super fast. Also now knows white from picking it up there. Tybalt also is going to pick up, what is it? There's life somewhere in here.
We're going to be picking up the gas mask in here.
Right.
And then life is actually, life and the moon helm are in the volcano / lava dome.
Right.
And there'll be one other item left after that, and that is the Aegis shield. We don't get that until Focus Tower.
Yeah, buried in the basement.
Yep. Best shield. Buried. So sad.
Yeah, it is kind of sad because you use it for what, like a dozen fights total?
20, 25 fights.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fights you get to use it for. But...
No. And then just like we saw in the Ice Pyramid, we kind of have the same situation here. In this foggy area, we can't see anything. So I'll be doing certain movements and locations to kind of avoid fights, because they're just kind of randomly spewed throughout this area. Now, the most notable dodge fight is right here. Boop, boop, dodge.
Yeah.
Once we get
And
the
now,
gas mask, you'll see it.
Yeah, and this is an interesting point to bring up. Some of the very rare boss manipulation you can do in this run. So typically to start out the next boss fight, which is going to be against a boss called Medusa, because Tybalt is so strong with Phoebe and Magus, he's just going to go in and just do big damage. And actually, do you even fight Medusa in the 100% run? I can't even...
Yep, you fight Medusa. That's the only way to get down into the lava dome.
Okay, so he's going to fight Medusa, and you're just going to go in and do damage, but if you actually fight her at the appropriate time, he always opens with, I want to say it's either Confusion or some other status ailment, You can actually mitigate that. It's one of the few bosses that will change its script based on your party's actions. And so if you defend with one of your characters to start the fight, she will actually change what her opening move is. And that's been something that I've long wanted to explore on a greater scale in this game, is what else is out there for boss manipulation, for AI manipulation. So I think the Medusa one is super cool if you fight everything in order where it's relevant. At this point, it's completely irrelevant because Tybalt's just going to go like White Flare or White Meteor or whatever it's going to be for his choice of spells and just blow up Medusa.
It'll be white because she's resistant to full wire, I believe.
There you go.
As you see, just keep going through. I'm actually using a flare here with Bennett, these dogs, because they're actually weak to fire. And I can actually use a seed with Phoebe at this time. Even though I didn't get the greatest encounter because the centaur there is still going to be alive.
Yeah, but you got a first strike on it, so it doesn't really make a difference.
No, now Phoebe's got full MP, so we're happy. And then here's Medusa. In case Ben actually went before Phoebe. What? Oh, Phoebe's confused. Oh wait, it's fine.
Medusa, also one of my favorite sprites for changing different appearances. Gets the snakes on the head, loses the snakes on the head, and then is just gone. But I do love those transitions for that particular boss fight as well.
Now, you thought Ice Pyramid was bad.
Also, shout out to the names of these. Hot Wings is such a good fight. Like, what a name for an enemy.
I mean, yeah, Hot Wings, you've got ninjas, you've got... Oh, where's the toads?
I do not remember the names of the toads.
Yeah. I mean, anytime there's a 2 for a fight in here, I'm actually using Ben to take it out to kind of save on Phoebe's magic. Or use a seed with her. Because Ben can actually take these out with a single white cast, because that's what we would do in the old routing. So any which way that you can get through the fight in a single animation is preferred.
Smile. The Blizzard spell, one of my favorite parts about that is the snowman finishes with a smile there. I think it's adorable. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Unfortunately, both Medusa and the Gargoyle there have enough health to survive Phoebe's flare or light, so...
That is your last spell.
Yep, 2.5 hours in, we finally have our life spell. Took us this long. We could have used it so long ago. But alas. Go, far away. Go on, take it. Right there, go left. Volcano is one of the places that you can get lost very easily. There's certain ways we need to go before other, because there's a door blocking our way to actually get to the end boss, but we have to hit a switch first. And we still have to pick up one other item. We got to pick up our Moon Helm, our Grade 2 helm, from this location. So,
Yeah, I never got lost going through this area.
Really?
Every time I played. That was sarcasm. I got lost too every time I played. It was awful. But actually, the randomizer helped me learn where stuff was by having to run through everything, because I can tell you way more about the any percent run than the hundo run. What I've learned about hundo largely has come from you, and a little bit with Calamity, who was going to join us tonight, but came down under the weather. Feel better, calm. But like never having to go through this for the any percent run, like watching the hundo stuff, learning about it from you, was really nice to kind of open the eyes to how to route it and how to walk through it. Because Lord knows I didn't have a clue.
yeah, I spend, I don't know how many hours getting lost in this area, trying to figure, how do I get to that switch to unlock that door? And then you finally do it. Okay, how do I get to that door? And that's why the game expects you to be, almost level 30 by the time you get Kaylee. Because you have to go through all of the fights in here.
Yeah, one of the things about this game that you'll notice compared to others, in most speedruns and most games, you'll see a grind at some point. Usually there'll be a small, window of time where you're going to spend a lot of time getting super powered up. That doesn't happen in this. You basically never take grind fights, you only fight the encounters you need along the way. So it's very different in that regard, that you're not overpowered, you never take extra time to do those grind fights. You're just kind of going through the game, the air quotes, the way it was intended.
Yeah, because the final boss, even in the rando, when we can't do the fast strats for him, he doesn't do a whole lot of damage. As long as you have at least around 880 health on Ben, you're fine for the most part. Because everything else will one-shot you regardless, because you don't get that much health.
Yeah. But I would say, before we get too close to the boss and what is effectively a boss rush at the end, I think this would be another great time for any donations or reminders or anything else that we might have.
No donations at the moment, but just to remind everyone, you are watching Speedrun Ragnarok. We are raising money for Take This. Take This provides education on mental illness so that friends, family members, and coworkers can be better allies to those who are suffering. Many marathons have gone virtual in the last few years, and Take This has taken note. AFK Online is a moderated Discord server that has been specifically designed to offer peer-based, non-therapeutic emotional support to attendees. You can visit takethis.org for more information and a link to the server. You can also type !Discord in chat to get the link to their Discord.
Alrighty, thank you so much for that, and perfectly timed as well, as Tybalt just found the switch to open up the door to the boss of the area. Still going to have to fight his way down there, but that switch that opened up the boss door, you might think, hey, they're right next door to each other. Can't we just like jump or use our claw to get over there? No.
No.
You can't.
It's a long trek back there. This is why Fuse Magic is better. Anything more than 2, Benjamin's got to go through 2 casts. Yay. A little bit of time lost, but not too major.
have all these Hot Wings enemies. Again, the nice part about Phoebe, one white spell, the Hot Wings are gone. Just carrying right on through. The other nice part about this is Magus is picking up a decent chunk of levels. Going to be fairly healthy for the end game, which again is rapidly approaching. Pretty decent run so far. Tybalt going through and making good work of most of the bosses here. Definitely the Dullahan still for me the highlight of the run. That was really cool to see.
Alright, come on. We're controlling. Now I have to manage, you know, a little bit of wizard, a little bit of black magic, just because you get to these fights one turn. It's a little bit harder as the enemies gain a little more HP the farther you get in the zone.
Yeah, it really is interesting too that there's not a lot of mechanics to these enemies. They're nowhere near as spooky as the things in Pazuzu's Tower, for example. But like these enemies, they're basically as hard or harder than what's in Pazuzu's Tower from just a pure HP standpoint. They don't do nearly as much damage, they don't have nearly as many status impacts, but you're still going to be hard-pressed to just one-shot everything.
Yeah, the object that I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to use seeds in battle versus going into my menu. Opening your menu and using seeds takes a lot of time to do. So I'm trying to manage my magic in a way to where either generally Phoebe's going to be using the seeds either on Ben or Magus or on herself to alleviate me spending 15-20 seconds going into my menu and using a seed there where it's near instant in battle. It's one of the optimizations that gets a little tricky in this section of the game to not go into the menu.
Yeah, and menuing is such a big part of this run as well. Just making sure that you're fluid in your menuing, that nothing is, really catching you by surprise or causing you hang-ups. If you are ever looking to get into the speedrun of this, one of the big things that you'll want to do is probably dedicate some time to learning where the spells are in the menu. So like if you have to swap from a white spell to a lightning spell, or from life, over to exit, or whatever the combination might be, that you know what those movements are. Just knowing your spell menu and how to quickly go from spell to spell, and even how to quickly go from weapon to weapon, can save you a lot of time in the long run.
There's the door. Oh, we're going farther away from it.
We'll be back soon, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. No,
Just in time for your favorite boss.
Ah, here's the longer staircase down. Oh wait,
Are you more a fan of twin head or dual head?
Twin head's fine.
Which wyvern?
Twin head's fine. Jump over the nice gold bars there. Unfortunately, I really haven't had a fight here to actually have Ben use a seed yet. That's been kind of unfortunate. He hasn't had the chance to outspeed Phoebe yet, even though I do have the extra speed with the sword.
I was gonna say it might happen at some point. Probably not on Strike First, though.
You know,
But the Strike First does give you the ability to just go through and cast multiple spells there and get your seeds off.
Almost about time equal to actually using the menu, but my mind's still better than going to the menu.
You also can never accidentally cast Exit.
Yeah.
If you're in battle versus out of battle. I don't know why I'd ever bring that up.
Oh, yeah, don't remind me about accidentally cast. I'm going to use seeds before fighting twin-headed, before the wyvern fight. Cast exit.
Yeah, so the reason we bring that up is the exit spell. If you exit out of a dungeon, when you walk back in, you have to refight all the enemies. So by accidentally casting exit, you can add 10 or 15 minutes sometimes to your run. It's not a great time.
No. And that's one reason why you want to practice your spells and your menus, because the very top spell in your menu is exit. Just like your seeds are going to be in your slot 1 area. So it can be, if you're going a little too fast, you'll hit the exit instead of cure or anything like that. Because, let's hope I don't do that. Rather not.
There's also a lot of folks who will refuse to use Cure with Magus. They will only use it with Phoebe to make sure they never accidentally exit if there's a dropped input. One of the fun facts about the dual head Hydra fight and then the twin head Wyvern fight, which will happen later, as long as both heads are up, it can use a flame move, which is devastatingly powerful. So you want to do as much burst damage as possible. That's the fire attack that is really, really heavily damaging on the party. But once the second head is gone, it no longer uses that flame attack. So Tybalt will want to heal up his Phoebe at some point, but he can no longer be hit by that flame spell. That flame spell can also crit, and if it crits, it will one-shot Phoebe, and the fight is probably not over because you have the life spell, but it can be really spooky. But that was a pretty smooth fight, all things considered. A lot of targeting on Phoebe there, and straight on through.
Yep. And that chest back there has the sun coin. We're still going to grab it because we have it in inventory. We still have to get it from its vanilla location. And here's something some people enjoy. That, well, look, Ruben's back.
But I thought we had Phoebe in our party.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Huh, weird. It even says Phoebe on your screen.
Yeah. We got the sun coin there. We're gonna exit out. We're gonna use that Mobius crest once again to go right back over to Windia because we've completed all the rest of the game. We're on the final stretch. We gotta go.
Are you one who likes to double check your inventory at this point to make sure you have everything?
No, but I can definitely do that to kind of show things off here. Let's see. We've got all the armor besides one. We've got all the weapons. We've got all the spells. And that's only what the cure pots would be. So yeah, we've got everything.
Looks like we're good to go. Just gotta pick up that one final piece of armor. That Aegis shield that's going to be in the Focus Tower basement. And Tybalt will have all the requirements to complete the category.
Yeah, Aegis shield. The shield that gives one extra status element that we'd love to have early on, but we can't ever get it.
I can't remember. Is that confusion or petrification?
Petrification.
Okay.
Even though the Dark King can still no, he can't petrify. He can only confuse you. That's right, 90%
Yeah,
days.
Yeah, it would be the golden web that would do the petrify.
Yeah, if you can't petrify, it confuses you.
Yeah.
So 100% gets confusion, 80% gets petrification.
Both are bad. Well, that's one way to speed up that fight.
Okay, I'll take it.
Ninja decided it had places to be. And so we're going to see Tybalt go through, and in this room is where the final piece of armor is that he needs to get. So instead of going and doing the fight, he is going to go and collect that final chest. Then he's going to have to walk back around again and drop down into the correct place. So just like we had a fight earlier where the Minotaur zombie was in the middle guarding the arrow, and you always got to strike first. This fight you have a Gorgon, which is a very early enemy as well, guarding the Aegis shield. For whatever reason, these random super low level enemies got put in these encounters. You always get first strikes. They're free items basically. Why they did it that way, no idea. But it's great for us because it's a very quick hitter type item.
Yeah, I think that certain enemies got their levels broken. 'Cause we see the same thing in the tree. How there's two encounters that have the trees with them, but they're like level 1.
Yeah.
Because they're mimicking their self in Forestia. So it's just like, something got broken. But we get to do a nice little fun glitch in here. Flamus Rex refight.
Except easier.
So much easier. Okay, fine. Fine. Okay. Ninjas have someplace to be right now.
They really do.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
Tybalt there was just trying to exit the Flamerous refight. Skullorous Rex now, as it were. And the ninjas decided they wanted to play. And by play, I mean explode. And, yeah, so they did. But that was a very fast fight as a result.
Yeah?
So this is going to be like your... Think of, you know, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4 type thing. You're going to see refights of the bosses that would have been previously fought. So... that was the Flamerous Rex refight from the Bone Dungeon where he picked up the Sun Coin. Next up, going to be the second major boss fight guarding a crystal, which is was the Ice Golem in the Ice Pyramid, is now going to be a slightly different kind of golem. And then it will be extra fights from there as well, culminating in everybody's favorite fight with Pazuzu's dad. That's always a good time. Yeah.
Had to remind me about Zuh.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, it's trying to use the same mechanics that we had back in the Ice Pyramid of hitting the switches with the sword. You gotta go around and hit all these switches in a certain order. And when you're playing casually, you're trying to figure out the order you gotta go through. It's a little tricky sometimes. You just sit there, oh, I'm blocked by a door, I gotta walk all the way over this way. Oh, I'm blocked by another door. But for those of us who have run it many, many times, we know where we have to go before we have to go there.
Yeah, much like most of the rest of the game, it's not so much like there's random encounters you have to worry about, random things happening. It's more just following the pattern of the floors, memorizing the actions you have to take, and then just being able to deal with what will inevitably be some misfortune that happens during the fights. There is no such thing as a perfect run. And that is one thing to very much so be cognizant of whenever you're running this game, is that things will go wrong. How well do you adapt to them?
As we got just a few more encounters here before we do the same thing we did to Flamus Rex. I believe it's the Iron Golem. I know a lot of people have him set down as Megatron in their splits.
I think my favorite part about that particular fight is if it decides to drop a gigantic stone on you, it can just one-shot your main character still.
Oh, yeah.
It does like 860 damage or something absurd like that. It's like, relax, please.
Yeah, in these first two boss fights, you can either exit, which is what I'm opting to do to keep my levels low. The other one thing you can do is you can do life. That's the difference between the two spells, both life and exit. Exit will remove the enemy from battle, you get no experience. Life will still technically take out the enemy, but you still get the experience.
Yeah, life counts as a kill, exit counts as a removal from battle, and because they are treated differently, the game gives you different XP values for them. One, it gives you XP, which would be using life, and the other, it does not. Exit just counts it as no longer being a part of the fight. So you see a lot of exit usage because Tybalt really doesn't want to end up above level 25 by the end of this. Are there level 26 strats? I forget.
So you can still do the same strats as you would with level 25. It's just more of a random chance.
Okay. But basically the TLDR on it is if you go beyond a certain threshold of magic for the main character, it throws off the calculus to make sure that you are dealing the correct damage range to the final boss. So you actually don't want to be gaining too many levels, or else you will have to fight the boss the long way, which nobody wants to do. There's, what, 40,000 health, I believe, for the final boss?
Yep.
And if you can cut that shy by, you know, well, what, 36,000 of it by basically cheating the system or manipulating it in our favor, that is beneficial to the speedrun for sure.
Yeah, we do about two magic casts that do about 18,000 and change. Let's see what's right here. I gotta fight this anyway, so it's better just kind of just take it out now before the fight. We're gonna go over here. We got another one fight before we have our refight with Grand Old Wyvern again.
Yeah, and this one is ever so slightly more dangerous, but still shouldn't be too bad. I think the biggest difference is that you need like 4 spells, I want to say, to progress past the first phase. So if it crits Phoebe, it will one-shot her with the fire move. So you just hope to avoid that. It also will do just over half of her health. The poison move is a great start. That is basically a free turn, and Magus going before both of the ads there is also wonderful. That's the fire move. 742 is actually 2 damage over 50% of her health, I believe it is, something just like that. So if it were to use it twice on her, it would be bad. but we were able to dodge that. One of the heads is gone now, and the fire move goes with it. So should be smooth sailing from here. Maybe a cure or a life on Magus here. But other than that, this fight is basically free now. The hard part's out of the way.
Yeah, but the only other dangerous spell that he can cast is poison. That can still do a bunch of AoE damage if he does it multiple times in a row.
Does not look like that's the case though, and this white spell should do it. A pretty smooth fight actually.
Yeah.
Very good mean bird there.
Knowing weaknesses to know what next spell you need to use instead of taking the time to seat up. Weak versus wind. Okay, cool. I'll use the arrow spell instead of white. Strong against flare. Here we come to this fun area. Now, you'll see how there's certain bridges here, how there's a little bit of a difference. One's kind of a smooth edge, the other's kind of a bit of a rocky edge. The smooth edge, I can actually fall off on.
Yeah, and Tybalt will intentionally yeet himself off that in a bit, but not yet. So, yeah.
The ninjas just do not want to play. They're just like, no, I gotta go.
Yeah, they are very busy. They have things to do and places to be. They're like, y'all are doing a great job, and, you know, the estimate is going to be very close, but we're going to try to speed that up for you, like ninjas being good guys.
I don't think I've ever had something at all. Well, it's almost like 75-80% of the ninjas have used explode. And
Yeah, they have been very angry, which is good from a time perspective, honestly. Yeah. Like, as long as they're not using their duplication move, which we haven't seen once, it's great.
Yeah, we saw duplication from one of the, That's
yeah,
confusion
well,
for you.
I think the best part about that is it didn't even show the spell animation. It just vaporized your party.
Yeah, when you get to the wizard spells, they don't actually show any of the animation. The black magic will show on party members a little bit. Like you'll get little snowmen. You'll get a little bit of fire. Same with the lightning. Other than that, most of the animations that happen to your party, there's not really one for it. Get out of here. No, okay. Whew. I was hoping he wasn't gonna...
And then on this fight, are you a white caster or a meteor caster?
White caster, the mirror is strong against meteor. Strong against earth attacks. And meteor is such a longer animation time.
Definitely true. Oh, that's awkward.
The healing there is awkward.
Oh, we're doing a little YOLO here. Not healing up.
Missed again.
I think that's because you had the sword out, not the claw.
I know the next fights I'm gonna definitely need healing for. Even though I get to skip one due to how stairs work in this game.
Yeah, work in gigantic air quotes, because... Sure.
Yeah, they work perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with them.
What are we down to, though? 3 fights?
Yeah, just these last 2 here. We'll see how well Zell plays. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it comes down to. Well, Zell and Dark King. Like, Dark King can go sideways very quickly, too.
Yep, sure can.
Make sure I have enough spells and everything.
Pile driver, not the best start. That's a little spooky if you get bopped by Thanatos here. And so this is a nice example of what happens when a spell is queued. Your companion is on auto. Phoebe casts life on Magus. When Magus came back up, he still had his flare queued for the turn. So it's kind of a really neat feature when your companion is on auto like that.
Yeah, because they don't take their action until the opponent has, or they don't queue it up until just beforehand.
Yeah. I believe that was a hashtag calculated moment. We always knew Phoebe was going to live there.
Oh, I've got life, we're fine. That's the other thing that you don't get. The enemy can crit magic on you, but you can't crit magic on them.
It's not very fair, if you ask
No.
me.
No, it's not. Zuh actually playing very nice here.
Yeah, you're the one Doom Dance, and Phoebe got close, but that's a pretty quick Zoo fight. Not even getting to really see it in the downward animation where it's laying on the ground. So
Yeah, no, just straight done.
yeah, honestly, about as smooth a Zoo fight as you're gonna have. Much better than Pazuzu and many others. But there's Tybalt with the self yeet. Off we go, and
Actually
back down to the lava area.
25.
But has to do that to optimize getting to the final floor.
And we're actually 25. So many times I've always hit here at 26.
Yeah.
So this is actually nice to be 25. Because Dark, we don't do those chests. That just has a bunch of seeds, cure potions, heal pots. However, we don't get to hear this music very much. Alright, it's that. How much damage do we do? Perfect.
Yeah, 19-1 is really good.
19-1's actually perfect. Time is going to be coming up here shortly.
Yeah, this is what, Cure Flare?
Cure Flare Wipe.
Okay, yeah.
And that should be time.
Yeah, GG.
Don't get to hear the end music that much, but that's always my favorite song. Like, it's great. And oh, look, it's the old man. There's a crystal the entire time, helping us guide us through this game, and we never really talked to him.
Yeah, you know. It is what it is.
But now we get to go back, we visit all the different areas and all the people we talked to. So we go to talk to Otto, we go talk to Kaylee's mom with Kaylee here, and Mac. Family's all back together.
We also get to go and listen to the best music in the game. My opinion.
Well, first we
Not
gotta go
Aquaria.
talk to Spencer. He's
No,
digging out his
nobody-
cave again.
No, let Spencer be. Like, when are people going to realize that just like letting Spencer be is for the best? Like, every time someone goes and talks to him, they blow up his cave. Like, he's got to be sick of people at this point. But this is my favorite tune in the game.
And Captain Mac is going to allow us to take his ship. They're all seeing us off here. The gang's all together. Phoebe leaves our party. And we're going to go on a big old adventure. And everything's going to be oh well and fine on the ship. Nothing's going to happen, right?
I mean, realistically, you wish nothing would happen. Because now, for all eternity, your main character is stuck with
Oh no.
that guy.
He's back.
Could have been anybody else. But yeah, that was Mystic Quest 100% by Tybalt. An excellent job. Very well run. And oh, I guess we have a lot of friends joining us for the end of this one, Tybalt.
Yeah.
Thank you, GDQ, for sending everybody over. You're just in time to see the end of Mystic Quest 100%. We're in the credits now, but thank you all for coming on over.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good run. Oh.
Yeah, not bad at all. Thank you again for everyone at Speedrun Ragnarok. You know, the Valks for putting this on. Tybalt for having me on comms. Always appreciate that, man. It's so fun to do this with you and get to support you on your Final Fantasy Mystic Quest runs. So yeah, take this. Thank you everyone for all you do as part of the organization. Y'all are amazing, and keep it up.
Yeah. So I think that's all I have. I mean, anybody got any questions out there? Or do we have any final donations that came in?
No, I think we can sign off.
Alright, well, don't forget Speedrun Ragnarok is coming back again tomorrow morning. I believe it's around 9 a.m. Central Standard Time with Final Fantasy IV Fabul Gauntlet, played by Game Boy F9, the creator of it. It is a kind of a linear randomizer for the Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. I know he's done a lot of work on it. It's a real fun game to watch. I know the last of this is going to be a lot of Final Fantasy continuation, so Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy Legend 2, and Final Fantasy 4 Free Enterprise. So big old Final Fantasy day tomorrow. Well, this is Tybalt2010 with the Mystic Quest signing off. Bob, you have anything else left to say?
Nope, nothing here. Just thank you again so much, everybody. All the behind the scenes stuff. Thank you, TQ, for hosting. Amazing job as always. And y'all be well out there.
Thank you for having me.